Coming in hot.
Howdy.
Figure if we start the stream without doing too much of a wait at the beginning, that I don't have to do as much editing later when I cut out the audio to do the podcast,
Yeah, that's true.
which is now live at iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts. If
Oh,
you're not aware of that, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Weekly Narrative. I'm your host, Jeremy.
And I'm Delaney.
That's
and,
Delaney.
And then on the podcast, we're known as what? The alt-centrists?
We are the alt-centrist. That's right. That's the name of our podcast.
So if you
The
go onto the
Centrist.
if you go into the podcasting apps, all of them, or not all of them, but
All the big ones.
all the big ones, type in the alt-centrist. You'll see us there. So
That's right. Find us there, or
for audio only.
for those of you listening on the podcast, watch us live on YouTube Tuesdays and Saturdays, 7 p.m. PST. If you want to hang out, get in the chat, because chatting with you guys is the most fun part of the show
It
for me.
is. And
I
for
don't know
me
about you,
too.
Delaney, but yeah.
I love my fans. They're awesome. They build me up, and then you tear me down. So it's great.
Gotta get a balance.
Yeah, we got to have
Yin
balance.
and yang, you know? Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a stacked topic list for you today, as we always do.
Yes.
I don't know how we manage to do it every single time, but we managed to get some interesting stuff for you to learn. Today we're going to be talking about the Super Bowl. We'll get some commentary on the Super Bowl and the absurdity surrounding that, the wokeness.
Oh yeah, super woke.
The wokeness in the presentation, the wokeness in the NFL in general, the wokeness in the commercials,
So woke, I had to go to sleep.
and the reactions afterward, which was my favorite part. I did watch the Super Bowl. I was at a super spreader event.
Yes, you were.
Definitely gonna, be spreading some COVID for the next few days.
I was safe and was hanging out with my parents. So
Okay, so yeah,
even though they are old, but
I gotta say my favorite part was seeing the reactions of people on Twitter after
yeah,
the Super Bowl.
that's the one positive thing to take away from the Super Bowl. Even though the Super Bowl was pretty garbage, but it's okay.
No, find a way to make it a win either way.
Yeah, of course.
We're gonna be talking about vaccine passports. I know what you're thinking. What is a vaccine passport? Well,
Multipass.
it's a good thing you watch the Weekly Narrative, because we're going to let you know what
Yeah.
that is before you hear about it in the news, most likely. It's been talked about previously. There's been some questions about whether you'll need to have a vaccine to travel. We've already talked about that, but this goes a lot farther. And we'll see at what the future might hold for you if you don't have a vaccine.
Yeah. Well, we already kind of knew this was coming, but we'll go further and dive a little deeper.
Yes, that's right. And we have a huge update on the language war front. We've got news from the front on the language battle right now, and we've got the latest updates. This is the new curriculum, the new propaganda that they're pushing on people in schools and on teachers, and you'll start to see it in the rest of society shortly.
Yeah.
Because this is hot, steaming hot, fresh off the press propaganda narratives coming out. And we want to make sure you guys are updated and you know how the language war is going and what to expect, so that you don't fall for their tricks
Yes.
and you can use their tricks against them.
Yes, this is how the way you arm yourself in the battle of language is to know what language they're speaking and to try to use it against them in a way.
Well, you got to know your enemy.
Yeah, you got to know your enemy.
And you know what that means? It's time to roll that beautiful intro, and then we'll jump right into it, guys. Let's go.
Let's go.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 38th Weekly Narrative Alt-Centrist Podcast. For those of you who are maybe new, I just want to give a quick synopsis of this podcast, because we're going to get a lot of organic viewers on our new platforms, and I want to just give an explanation of what's going on here. Like, what is an alt-centrist? What is this guy talking about? What are they doing here?
Yeah.
This is just simply an outlet, to put it as simply as possible, where you can go and hear perspectives on ideas that are not tainted by predefined ideologies.
Okay.
So when you go to Fox News, what their response is going to be to
Yes.
certain topics. When you go to CNN, you know what their response is going to be to certain topics because they're going to be defending the primary goal for them is to defend their viewpoint, defend their side. We're alt-centrists. We're not on a side. We
Yeah.
reject the stereotypical political spectrum.
Yes.
We are outside of the spectrum. We are observing the spectrum, which is why we call ourselves objective observers. As if an alien comes down from the outer space, they've never seen a situation before, they get an objective reading of what's going on, and they assess it based on reality. And that's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
So you can expect that we're not going to give you any kind of pre-canned emotional responses based on our viewpoints and things like that.
Well, I mean, at least from you. Maybe from me, though.
Yeah, maybe a little bit from you, but I'm trying to
Well,
hold.
because I am the woman of the two of us, so
Yes.
I have to have the emotional response to crap.
And if you're calling that statement sexist, well, welcome to a podcast that acknowledges biological sex and the differences between those and the fact that women are more emotional on average.
Yes, I mean,
So,
we're here to say it.
That
so.
being said, let's jump into the topics for the day. I have one quick one that I wanted to pop out here about global warming, climate change, because we haven't talked about that as much lately.
I know, yeah, it's kind of been on the back burner.
It has. I mean,
I thought the
COVID and
world
all that
was-
kind of
I
stuff.
thought the world was supposed to end in 12 years, and that was, 4 years ago? So we only got 8 more years left, guys.
I can't keep track anymore. This is from Daily Wire.
Okay.
Massachusetts climate change official on people producing emissions. He says we have to break your will.
Oh, that's not,
Yeah, it doesn't sound like
that doesn't sound good.
definitely doesn't sound good.
Sounds like, what was it, the dude that, God, my spaghetti brain. I was going to say, from the Salem witch trials, the dude that wanted more weight and shit. Like, we're going to break your will.
No, that's what it is.
Yeah.
What's up, Dari? We got Phil, Stalking Horse, Mitch in chat, Athenian,
Yep.
who is apparently on a cell phone, which is totally cool with me. Continuing from the dailywire.com, a Massachusetts climate official made startling remarks regarding people who heat their homes and drive cars.
Okay, so
Which
regular
is
people,
pretty much everybody.
pretty much. the
Well,
United
actually, you know what? I don't know if I even turn on my heat here in California at all over the winter. I still turn my AC on when I go to sleep, even in January and February.
Yeah,
but that's
I leave my window open when I sleep because
California privilege. That's
Yeah,
what
a
that is
little
right there.
bit. Yeah, I said today that it was looking like spring, so here we are.
Yep, no, it really is. David Ismay, Massachusetts Undersecretary for Climate Change, made the remarks last month during a meeting with Vermont Climate Council. Ismay said during the meeting that the Bay State had no more, quote, bad guys left, apparently referring to corporations, and that the majority of the emissions that still had to be reduced, in his eyes, were from regular people.
Well, at least he admits it.
Yep. Well, you know how this works, right? These officials, they get presented with pie charts and graphs and all the time. Like, well, this is where we can impose the most legislation, most action to make the biggest difference, et cetera, et cetera. And over the years, the slice of the pie that was for corporations has been getting smaller and smaller and smaller because they never wanted to have to impose any controls on the people.
Yeah.
Because obviously that affects their voting, their favorability. So they've been holding off until you've reached this point now where they really have no choice but to now start imposing controls on just the people and not the companies anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, great.
Yeah, so we're reaching that stage. This is kind of like a canary in the coal mine, I guess you could say. It's just from Massachusetts, but on a larger scale, it still has the same impact. We're going to get to a point eventually where the corporations are no longer the focus of reducing greenhouse emissions, and then they're going to come for me and you.
Okay.
Oh, you don't drive a Civic, you don't drive a 4-cylinder Prius, you don't
Yeah.
drive an electric car.
Well, I think it was GM made an announcement that by like 2025, I believe, that they're going to stop manufacturing gas-powered vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, yeah. So they are doing it with the companies, but the fact that they're coming after all the rest of us, like, great, lovely.
We'll see how that works out.
Even
for 'em.
more reason to never move to Massachusetts, folks.
Quote, I know one thing that we found in our analysis is that 60% of our emissions come from, as I have it started to say, you and me, except you guys are in Vermont. Okay, that sentence is a little convoluted, but we'll continue on. 60% of our emissions come from residential heating and passenger vehicles. Let me say that again. 60% of our emissions that need to be reduced come from you, the person on your street, the senior on fixed income. Right now, there is no bad guy left, at least in Massachusetts, to point the finger at and turn the screw on and now break their will so they stop emitting.
Okay. Great.
That's you.
Yeah.
We have to break your will, unquote. That's right. All that was included in the quote by this guy.
To break your will. That sounds.
So if you thought the propaganda was bad already, then just imagine what it's like when the rest of the country catches up to this guy and that narrative. Because like I said, it's just a small-scale example of what's going to be happening across the entire country.
Oh yeah, it is. It's just localized to Massachusetts right now, but we're already kind of gonna see that probably here in California here soon too. I already know Commander Nuisance is already trying to flip our grid over to solar and wind energy, but that hasn't been doing very well. So we'll see.
Where can I DM Jeremy? Locals, go to the locals page. You can communicate directly with me there. If you guys haven't joined there already, weeklynarrative.locals.com is our private community that we cannot be, well, I can't say we cannot be banned by. If we piss off Dave Rubin, he might kick us off, but you'd have to go to extremes to get to that point. We are safer from censorship on that platform.
Kegel Destroyer says, "Oi oi from Massachusetts."
What's up, Kegel Destroyer?
What's up,
Welcome
Kegel
back.
Destroyer?
How much can you Kegel these days? You getting like 70 pounds on there?
I thought Kegel was for ladies.
Kegels are for everyone.
Really? Oh, I thought it was just for me, but whatever. Y'all can have it too.
What's up, Rigo? All right, let's jump into. Let's see. What's the next one on the list here? Is it the Super Bowl? Or is it the COVID? I think we'll save the COVID one.
Yeah.
We'll save the Super Bowl one because that's my favorite one. Let's talk about COVID. We got some COVID updates for you guys, and some countries are having different responses to COVID. And we've had a lot of debate over the last few months about how certain countries respond, whether it's effective or not.
Okay.
And we have one potential example here of how we could respond to COVID.
Okay.
You know, it's a prominent country, Iran, and we want to make sure that we're on par with what they're doing. So let's see what's Iran's approach to the COVID vaccine here. It's from Daily Mail.
Okay, Daily Mail.
Iranian cleric says COVID-19 vaccine turns people gay.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
Totally.
Ayatollah Abbas Tabrizian made the claims on messaging platform Telegram. Oh, God. You know what that means?
Come after Telegram.
You know what that means for Telegram.
You're gonna shut down Telegram now.
Quote, "Don't go near those who have had the COVID vaccine," he wrote. "Homosexuality is a crime in Iran and is punishable by execution." An Iranian cleric has claimed that the COVID-19 vaccine turns people gay.
Yeah, totally. They weren't gay before, but they're gonna be super gay after.
Iranian dissident. Okay, so somebody who's against this guy came out and said, like other clerics in the regime, he also relates all shortcomings to sexuality.
Oh.
So
Okay.
that's what's really happening here. Is if you're getting the vaccine, then you're kind of like
You're a wimp.
basically like a mutant, one could say, or a wimp. Yeah.
The rhyme, the since I'm gonna do a little self-censorship here because we're on YouTube. What is it? The derogatory slur that rhymes with Bob Saget's last name.
Yep, exactly.
I mean, yeah, that's essentially what he's saying. I mean, he's entitled to his own opinion, but that's not medical fact.
Okay, so we're kind of joking with this article, but I wanted to bring
course.
something up here that is actually very relevant and also kind of hilarious. Okay, so this is a quote towards the end of the article. It says, "We live according." Okay, no. Let me back up just a little tiny bit here. In 2019, Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Zarif told German broadcaster Deutsche Welle, quote, "Our society has moral principles, and we live according to these principles. These are moral principles concerning the behavior of people in general, and that means that the law is respected and the law is obeyed."
Or else you get thrown off a roof.
Well, that's one of the options that they have for you.
Or get a sex change. I heard that Iran is a hot capital for gender reassignment surgery.
Yeah, no, I think they're totally cool with transgenders.
Oh, they are. They totally are. If they understand that better than they understand homosexuality, which is kind of hilarious.
Well, I think, I'm not going to speak for their views on that, but the point that I was trying to make is that the people over here who are doing the heinous shit, like censoring people, calling them domestic terrorists,
Yeah.
opening up the 9/11 playbook and pointing it at white people and Trump supporters, impeaching Trump now, which is basically just impeaching Trump supporters at this point.
Yeah.
Because he's gone. Okay.
Yeah, he's gone. Why?
Orange Man is gone. People.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can relax. You can calm down now. It's okay. Just breathe. But the playbooks have been opened and turned on us in the name of morality.
Mm-hmm.
And then these same exact people will look at Iran, who is saying crazy shit like that, and they'll say that's wrong. But their justifications for all the crazy shit that both sides are doing is exactly the same.
Oh, I know.
They say it's our morality.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Iran actually has the nuts to say it out loud.
I know.
At least they admit it.
Yeah.
But the leftists and the communists over here, everything is in the name of morality. They just don't say that explicitly.
I know. Yeah.
They shame you, and they'll claim that you're immoral or that you are, bigot, white supremacist, phobia, whatever.
That's why I'm glad I ran. They actually are bold enough to say it, because I know where I'm not going ever. That's why I'm glad that they say it out loud, and they're brave enough to say it out loud. Like, go for it. Like, yeah, say that you think the vaccine turns people gay. Fine. It makes me laugh.
I just want to hear a leftist tell me how their morality is wrong, Iran's morality is wrong, and their morality is right.
Yeah.
Let me see that mental gymnastics.
The mental gymnastics.
That'll be some Olympic level.
It would
gymnastics
be
right
for sure. Yeah.
They have a laundry list to toss off now.
Oh yeah.
Texas. Yes, there was a video of a Texas lawyer who was on a Zoom call and he hit a cat filter. Did you see this? Oh man, maybe we'll pull it up later in the stream. He's on a Zoom call with a judge and he presses a filter and he turns into a cat. Mm-hmm. So he's just a cat on the call and he doesn't know how to get it off because he's a boomer.
That sounds kind of funny.
I've never been so grateful to live in Florida. Arabic version of Alex Jones. Nope, that is standard operating procedure for their religious.
That's just them, man. Like that's just most of the people out there.
Their higher religious class. So let's so that was a little joke just to warm us up,
just to
get into it,
to get the laugh going,
but also to get you thinking about the morality thing. Because again, everything that's happening on both sides, it tells you how subjective morality can be and what you can do, what you can justify by saying that it's because of morality.
Yeah.
So just keep that in the back of your mind. The next one we're going to go to is a much more relevant. This is from Sweden.
Okay, the Swedes, yeah.
Sweden, my home country.
Your people.
Yes, shamefully.
And a little bit of my people too. Just a little bit, not as much as him.
From lifesitenews.com, Sweden vaccine passports will, quote, probably be required for shopping, eating out, travel, and meeting loved ones.
Giggity.
That's right, folks. We talked about passports previously and how they're going to impose, or they're going to want to impose controls regarding vaccinations. We've already talked about how Ticketmaster is going to be allowing event organizers to require vaccinations. Particular airlines may require for international travel, et cetera, et cetera. But this is a few steps, not just one step, a few steps further. And of course, it's coming from where? Sweden.
Yeah.
One of the woke capitals of the world.
Yeah.
Which is why I say it's regrettably one of my home countries. I disavow.
Don't disavow them. They're beautiful. They're just a little misguided right now.
This is from yesterday, the 8th, from Stockholm, Sweden. Swedish Health Minister Lena Hallengren announced at a recent press conference the government's intention to provide a, quote, digital vaccination certificate to residents who received a COVID-19 vaccine, allowing them to travel abroad on holiday or to meet a loved one. The minister said she's convinced that a vaccination certificate is probably as desirable as getting vaccinated.
Okay,
that desirability is only based on what restrictions you put around it.
Right.
If there's no restrictions, then there's no desirability. So yeah, no shit. When you put all these restrictions in there, you're going to make it desirable.
Yeah, you're going to be like, oh, well, I can't travel. I can't go to the grocery store. I can't do my business unless I get a vaccine and I have proof that I got it.
Come on. You guys knew Sweden was burning down, right?
That's definitely going to make people bend the knee and just conform.
So for those who aren't aware, Sweden has been the forerunner, kind of, again, the canary in the coal mine for this wokeness. I don't know what happened. I guess it's maybe predominantly female leadership over there, or just the fact that they're the whitest of the white. And the pandemic, the real pandemic, is white guilt right now across the globe, and they are the most tragically affected. I mean, they're bringing in tons of refugees.
Yeah,
they have no-go zones in Sweden because there's too much gang activity and crime.
Yeah,
they've been pushing all the woke stuff. all the feminism. They've been pushing everything you see here to a larger degree, and it's more effective and it travels easier because it's a smaller country. So
Yeah.
this is just an extension of that.
Even though it's a pretty large country, like geographically, it's pretty big, but like in terms of populace, it's not as large.
It's like the size of California.
Yeah, it's pretty big, but it's geographically, but just like population size, nowhere.
Watch, it's not even close to the size of California.
It's not
and
even
I
close to
just
probably
look
the
like an idiot.
population of California, because California is like 30
No,
million people.
I'm not talking about physical.
Oh, physical?
Yeah, you said physical, so I was doing a
But
physical
still,
comparison.
California is still a pretty large state.
It is, but
It's not as big as Texas, but
when
it's
you
still a pretty large
when you're
state.
saying that it's just as big as one state in the United States,
One of the biggest states in the United States.
yeah, but still.
If I was trying to like compare it to like Rhode Island, that would not be a fair comparison. But to California, that's a pretty like decent chunk of land.
I suppose.
I mean, from here to LA, it's like 900 miles. So, and that's just from middle of California to not even the bottom of California. The entire span of California is actually pretty. I'm not saying it's like gigantic, but I'm just saying, in comparison to a lot of other European countries, it's actually like geographically pretty decent sized. But whatever, Jeremy.
Swedes who have received the vaccine are already eligible for a vaccination certificate from the vaccine provider. The digital passport will allow those people to have a copy on their phones.
Lovely.
Anders Gieben, Sweden's Minister for Digital Development, stated that the government's goal is for the work to go as quickly as possible and that the digital infrastructure will be in place by the summer. When Sweden and these countries around us start to open up, it will probably be required to have a vaccination certificate to travel and take part in other activities, he said, making mention of businesses such as restaurants establishing a requirement for proof of vaccination before permitting access to individuals.
That's not good.
You remember how we were talking about parallel societies here, people?
I know. Yeah.
If you don't have the multi-pass, you don't get to go to McDonald's,
Yeah,
okay?
if you don't have the multi-pass, you don't get to travel.
That's how this works.
And then what's going to happen is there's just going to be a black market of multi-passes. So, yeah, good job.
Well, that's immediately what my mind goes to when they say digital passports.
Nobody wants to take the vaccine. Nobody does. Like,
Oh no, a lot of people really do want it. They're they're
Really?
enthusiastically just begging for it.
okay, well, yeah, go ahead. Like,
No, yeah, but the problem is, isn't this exclusionary to people who don't want to take it?
a little bit.
I thought we want to be inclusive.
You might have
Or
a
was
point
that just
there.
or was that just another bullshit trope that they were using to push their own morality and their own mind control on us?
Ding, 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 ding. Right there.
Sweden's announcement follows that of Denmark, which announced its plan to establish a vaccine passport program to identify those who have been vaccinated for the sake of travel. So Denmark was kind of one step behind. Sweden was like, hold my beer. And then they implemented even stricter controls, not just on travel. Danish Finance Minister Morten Bodskov suggested that in 3-4 months, a digital corona passport will be ready for use. So there you go. It's coming in just a few months.
Probably, or a year or so. We'll see. Holly says medically exempt people won't be able to travel to their medical appointments. That doesn't matter, Holly. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter. Not to these people.
Oh man, listen to this. Lars Sandal Sorensen, CEO of the Confederation Danish Industry, suggested that vaccine passports will be a long-term arrangement.
Wow.
That's right, people. You remember how we were talking about the response to 9/11 and how it had lasting controls like TSA and stuff that are still in effect today?
Yes.
The question that everyone should be asking with COVID and with other things like the domestic terrorism thing that's coming up now in America is, what are going to be the permanent, long-lasting effects of what you're seeing right now? Is it going to be masks? Is it going to be vaccinations? Is it going to be vaccination passports? This guy is saving you the work and straight up admitting that, hey, you know what? This is probably going to be a long-term thing. So this isn't a temporary thing while we get over it. This is going to be pretty much forever. Declaring that citizens will, quote, benefit from the Corona Passport for many years, since they will, quote, allow travel and participation in cultural life in Denmark. So if you don't have a passport, he's implying that you will not be able to participate in cultural life in Denmark.
Huh. Sounds very much like Black Mirror,
It kind of does.
where if you don't have a certain, or like what they do in China with their social credit system. Well, China, their social credit system is entirely based on like what you do and like how well you do it and how well people like you.
Oh yeah, no.
Whereas this is just entirely based off of like you're hated or loved or allowed to go anywhere or not, just based entirely on if you have a vaccine. Like that seems a little just problematic to me. But
Yeah, no, the vaccination is just going to be like one facet of your social credit score.
yeah, a little bit.
It's kind of like having a verified Twitter account, right? You can have a Twitter account, you have your profile up on there, all your information,
But
your
if you don't have a
bio.
blue check mark, you ain't shit.
Exactly.
Same thing with
That's
this
right.
thing. You ain't shit if you don't have your vaccine and your passport and your multi-pass and give them a drop of blood and sell your soul to the devil.
So, what's your guys' breaking point? Are you gonna get the vaccine so you can participate in cultural life?
No.
Because they say right there, if you don't have it, you're not going to be allowed to participate in cultural life.
I'll get a black market multi-pass. That's what I'll do. That's what I would
That's
rather
one
do.
option. One option, definitely. Black market probably wouldn't be too hard to fake.
Or maybe
to be
find
honest,
some
coming
way
from
to
a-
get an exemption, like some way to get an exemption of getting the virus. Like I would want to know like what are the ingredients of the virus, and if the ingredients of that vaccine have aborted baby cells in it, I don't want it. I wouldn't want it just based on like my standards for myself. So would there be a way for me to be exempt for that reason?
Not for any traditional reasons. So what you would
No.
have to do is you'd have to make up
I'm allergic.
something new, something stupid. Like no, it's got to be linked. It's got to be linked to the left. So you have to say I am I'm following a new religion and whatever. I can't.
My religion states I can't put impure things in my body.
Yeah, something like that. Like you're vegan and you have to have, you got to really play it up. You got to get dreadlocks and all that kind of stuff. You're not going to be able to get away with a traditional excuse of a medical exemption. Like, oh, I can't, I have a immune disorder. I have allergies.
Or religious anymore, I guess. I don't know.
Right. No, that's why I said it has to be some new religious stuff, because you can't say I'm a Christian, it's against my religion to do this, or I'm a Jehovah's Witness, it's against my religion. That's not gonna. They don't care about that.
They don't care about that.
Don't care about that at all
especially
anymore.
since this whole program is for the greater good. They really,
I think most people in chat says they're not gonna get it. Does anybody in chat have it? Has anybody in chat gotten it?
Yeah, has anybody gotten the vaccine? Cause
You know what's funny to me is I've been interacting with people in my professional world and whatnot, who say things like, "Oh man, once we all get the vaccine, we can all hang out and stuff like this."
Do you really think that? Do they really think that?
No, they think that, but what they don't realize is that and this might be a red pill for some of you if you don't know this, the vaccine, number one, does not prevent you from getting COVID. Fact check it all you want. Does not prevent you from getting COVID. It does not prevent you from spreading COVID. So you can be vaccinated and get sick. You can be vaccinated and spread it. You can be vaccinated and your body can produce more viral parts or whatever it's called in your body. So the only thing the vaccine does is it prevents you from having serious symptoms.
So can I just be against getting nothing but like trash put into my body? Because I don't want to put anything that is unnecessary, unfortunately. Like, can I get an exemption for just not being a total idiot and not wanting to waste resources on something that's not really going to prevent?
Well, they're definitely not selling it well, because they're saying all these things like you still have to wear a mask if you're vaccinated. You
Yeah.
still have to follow all these controls if you're vaccinated. So like
Like the whole point of like the measles and like the mumps and the rubella virus was to prevent you from getting those things. This vaccine doesn't even won't prevent you from getting coronavirus.
Right. That was the whole point of you having to show your vaccination records before you went to school, so that they know you're not going to spread it around.
You're not gonna
Not
get
the same
it
situation
as well.
with the COVID vaccine. You could still spread it around
You
if
could
you
still
have
get it too.
So
So what's the point? The whole
Yeah,
and
right.
also the point of like getting like the chickenpox vaccine, for instance, is so that way you don't get chickenpox in the future. You're not supposed to, at least. That's how the vaccine's supposed to work. But again, they changed the whole herd immunity definition and everything like that.
nobody in chat has gotten the vaccine.
Good. Good. You guys are smart. Thank God.
Well, I mean, even the healthcare companies are basically admitting now that when the second dose of the vaccine almost guaranteed to knock you out for like at least a day. It'll jack you up so bad.
I've known like a few people that work in the healthcare industry here locally that have gotten the vaccine and they're fine, but they only reason they did it was because they work in the healthcare industry, and their employers basically said if you don't get it and set the example, you're not going to be able to work.
I got offered it. I got offered it weeks ago.
Yeah.
and definitely have not taken it. Here's my argument for all those who are going to watch this and see this, after we get super famous and everyone on the left starts clipping these and saying, "Oh, look at
Yo,
this
look at these guys.
conspiracy theorist." My reason for taking it is very simple, and as far as I can tell, it's a fairly unassailable viewpoint. Is I just want long-term safety data.
Yeah.
That's all. I'm not anti-vax. I just want long-term safety data. I don't think that's too much to ask.
And I'm also in the camp of.
And that should be your response too when people try to talk to you and ask you why you're not getting it. Don't try to go down some rabbit hole of I don't know what they're putting in it. It's mRNA. Or just give them something that's gonna make their brain hurt.
Yeah.
When you say it, and that's partially the reason why I have that reason is because it's gonna cause the most cognitive dissonance in their mind. I just want long-term safety data.
Yeah, well, because with the MMR vaccine and a lot of these vaccines that are standard and just what we get to be able to go to school, measles, mumps, rubella, all that shit, that has been around for decades and has been studied, so we know long-term what the data says. This is brand spanking new. It took them less than a year to manufacture and produce it, so I'm in the camp with you, Jeremy. I want the long-term data too. I even feel bad about even taking the established vaccines because if you take a vaccine and you have a bad reaction or you pass away because of the reaction to the vaccine, the manufacturers of those vaccines are not held liable. They're protected by the federal government. So
no.
So if something bad happens and you die or your child dies, there's no recourse for it.
Nope.
Which is sad. That's why I'm not in the anti-vax camp, but I want to know more. And
some people are just simply more risk averse. That's all.
Yeah.
And I am definitely a very risk averse person. Stalking horse. Is there a difference between first and second dose? I don't know. But there must be, because the second dose, like I said, the healthcare companies are coming out and saying it plainly. The people who offered it to me said it plainly. The second dose will probably kick your ass.
Oh, well, great.
And most of the people that I've talked to that have had it, the second dose has literally knocked them out and made them inoperable for at least a day, sometime up to a week.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So.
Tyler says, I got COVID, not the vaccine. I feel as if it would be a waste on me. 27-year-old male had small symptoms to COVID. Yeah.
See, that's the other thing. If you're not 80 years old
Right.
or obese, you're not in any kind of risk category.
Yeah.
So that could be another reason you give for someone when you say you don't want to get the vaccine. Just say, no, it'd be a waste on me.
It would be a waste on me especially.
I'm pretty sure I've already had it as well. I'm 99% sure. My COVID antibody test came back as negative, but those have a high false negative rate.
Yeah.
I've never gotten sick and lost my sense of taste or smell before. So if I did get sick and I lost my sense of taste and smell, it's a pretty crazy coincidence that it happened in the middle of this pandemic.
Got COVID from when we were in Reno and we went to one of the more filthier casinos there.
Oh yeah.
Even though they were all
Don't
empty.
care.
They were all most of them were pretty empty.
COVID stays on surfaces for 20 years, don't you know?
Oh wow. And they were wiping down the machines too, so that was whatever.
That's what they were saying when it first came out. Not 20 years, it was 20 days.
20 years.
Let's see here. Yeah, you're going to get called anti-vax if you say you don't want to take the vaccine, but that's okay.
Yeah. I'm okay with being anti-vaxxed. I'm fine with that. Just like I'm okay with being called, transphobe. That's fine with me.
CDC has some information on us regarding. Now, I love this story so much.
Okay.
This is gonna be great. You guys are gonna love this one. Because you know that we love talking about how awful teachers and teachers unions are. They've been crying for weeks and weeks now, and we talked about it here in previous streams about how they don't want to go back into school because they're scared to death.
Yep.
Literally scared to death. They think COVID is going to kill them when they get back into the school, the classroom.
They do.
And now, what are we seeing? We're seeing the teachers' unions coming at odds with the CDC and with the Biden administration, and the best part, with science.
Oh, okay, cool.
So teachers are now pretending to be, they're now acting as if they're anti-science because they're ignoring the guidelines from the CDC. They're ignoring what Biden administration has been saying about getting back into schools.
They're raising our youth, so they're warriors in their own way, Jeremy.
Oh, yeah. We got to get that soundboard going so we can get
Right?
the failed trombone on that. Yeah, Warriors. All right.
Yeah, that's in their mind. They're warriors.
From CBC News, CDC to say teacher vaccination not precondition to reopening schools. That's right, folks. This is from 3 hours ago. The CDC says that vaccinating teachers is not a precondition to reopening schools. So all those teachers who are crying and whining, if you continue to cry and whine, just know that you're being anti-science because you're going against the CDC. Now, I was told that teachers are definitely not anti-science.
I mean, they're supposed to be. Not
So they're going to be rushing to get back into the classrooms now, right? That's
no.
what. That's what. I mean, if
I mean, they should be, but I mean, most of them have been.
they hold to their principles.
I mean, most of them have been teaching
Pro
from
science.
home, so they're happy with that.
Yeah, that's the question. Is how much of the not wanting to go back into the classroom is just them being lazy and not and like enjoying working remotely too much?
I think that's what it is.
Really?
I think they enjoy working remotely, and they don't want to go back, and they don't want to waste money and resources on school supplies and shit that all the stuff that they complain about that the government that the public school system doesn't pay them enough to have all this stuff, and so they're just happy that they've been happy this whole year doing remote learning. I mean, most of them, not all. Pretty sure there's some people in the teachers union that are trying to go against the grain, but when you're in a union, unfortunately, you get smashed down.
Yeah, I think most of it is probably the unions just trying to be overprotective and trying to squeeze out everything they can
Yeah.
out of the deal. But I definitely, there's a part of me that's inclined to say the teachers are lazy. I'm just going to put that as my number 2 most influential
Yeah.
reason.
Well, and also Mitch says in the chat, he says they don't give a crap about their students.
No, yeah, they don't care.
I don't think they give a crap about their students either. 'Cause
Dude, they pump these students full of propaganda and shit that makes them the most unproductive members of the global society you could possibly make. If you were to objectively observe their behavior, as we do, you could come to the conclusion reasonably that the teacher's goal is to do more damage than the kids than actually helping them, which is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to prepare these kids.
Yeah. Again, like I said, they in their mind they're warriors, but they're not real warriors. Like that's what, like you said, that's what.
No, they're warriors.
They're supposed to be warriors.
Social justice
They're
warriors.
supposed to be warriors, but not. They've turned into like the wrong kind of warriors.
The Biden administration's guidance on how schools can, quote, safely open will come from multiple federal agencies and departments, according to several people familiar with the plan. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is expected to release an operational strategy, advising that it would be safe for K-12 schools to reopen if they apply recommended mitigation practices, according to an email sent by Education Department official soliciting feedback from an education groups obtained by CBS News. The CDC guidance, which is expected to be released this week, builds on guidelines already released by the agency.
Okay.
So this isn't really actually new. They're just basically like, they came out previously and they kind of suggested it lightly, saying, when you want to get someone to do something and you're like, I'm really hungry, like I could use some food, but they don't pick up on the clue.
That they want you to cook it for them.
Yeah, and then you're like, hey, now this is them just basically saying, hey, make me a sandwich.
Yeah, right.
This is basically what they're coming out doing. They're coming out and they're just saying it straight up.
Good.
The guidance released this week is expected to focus on 5 areas of COVID-19 mitigation in schools rather than relying on vaccinating teachers as a precondition for opening. So
They want the teachers to be vaccinated before they go in, and what about the students?
no, they don't want the teachers to be vaccinated.
they don't
they're
want the
saying
kids-
they're saying get the hell back in the classroom. We don't care if you're vaccinated.
Oh, okay.
That's what the
well,
CDC is saying.
And now is it the teachers unions that are like, oh, we don't want to go in unless people are vaccinated?
No, the teachers think they're going to die if they don't go into vaccination.
Oh, okay.
They think that if they step in the classroom and they start a class, they're going to drop dead instantly.
Wow. That's a life to live right there. Super warrior.
So brave.
So brave.
Like Conan the Barbarian, you're so brave. The mitigation practices include ensuring teachers and students wear masks. Okay, pretty standard. Maintain proper social distancing. Pretty standard. And institute, quote, good hand hygiene with a program with proper coughing and sneezing etiquette. So this is stuff that I know companies have been doing since last February. when this thing even started, before it even had a big foothold in America,
They were-
people were doing this.
Yeah.
Basically saying, I mean, not the mask part, but I'm saying
Wash your hands.
maintain good hand hygiene, stuff like that. Yeah.
Stay distanced away from each other. If you sneeze, don't sneeze on your hand. Sneeze in your elbow. That kind of stuff.
So here we go. Here's the bomb.
Here's the bomb.
Get ready for it.
Gonna drop it.
The Biden administration will be advising that teacher vaccinations are supplementary, suggesting that if schools districts adhere to the recommended mitigation practices, mandatory vaccination of all teachers is not a precondition for reopening schools. Get the hell back in the classroom.
Yeah, get in the classrooms, you guys.
There was already a strong hint that this would be the stance adopted by the administration, since the CDC director, Rochelle Walensky, has already said as much last week. So there you go.
You know what these teachers are probably going to do? They're probably going to say, well, we'll go back, but y'all need to do some things. Y'all need to, like, pay us more. Y'all need to do this, and this, and then we'll go back. They're gonna hold children's educations by, the cojones and not let go until they get what they want. Everything that they've been complaining about. What have teachers been complaining about for decades? They don't get paid enough. Parents aren't getting involved. All this, that, and everything in between. They don't want to go back until all that stuff is solved.
It's true. Oh, what's up? Well, we got
on top of COVID.
We got Shannon's got a margarita. Dave's got some vodka. Nice. I got some vodka here myself. Dave said he just got back off the freezing icy roads. Did you know that there's actually a giant polar vortex storm happening on most of the country right now? Or there was in the last few days? Yeah, exactly. That's the same reaction I had. That's our California privilege. I was outside with short sleeves and shorts working on my truck.
But we did. Remember that storm we had a couple weeks ago where it was interrupting our broadcast?
Oh, yeah. We did have a windstorm.
You know what? We got... Well, it was also rain and really heavy wind. So want to know what it is? That, the vortex that the rest of the country is facing, we got the start of it, and it just got pushed to everybody else.
Not really, but I get what you're
kidding.
saying. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
I'm just kidding, y'all.
The wind did stomp us out pretty hard.
And it rained too.
Do you know the wind killed 6 homeless people here in Sacramento?
What?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
People in Sacramento were really mad because the mayor was like, "Hey, you didn't save all the homeless people. You didn't help in the warming centers and all this kind of." Yeah, so that was
okay.
Anyway. We got some comments here on the teacher stuff. They say, Secret says they teach useless things like Black History Month. That's true.
Yes.
They also teach you how to be a protester and how to dismantle white supremacy in math class.
And how Black Lives Matter.
Math class is how to dismantle white supremacy.
Oh, cool.
No, math class is why math is racist.
Oh.
So instead of teaching you how to do algebra, it's why algebra is bad.
Oh, okay. So when those kids that didn't learn algebra go out into the workforce and they can't do basic math,
telling you, objective
it's
observers.
Just going to be that it's going to be racism is the reason they don't know basic math.
An objective observer would come to the conclusion that teachers are trying to harm the students' long-term prospects.
Yeah.
Did you think school was for education? Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it used to be. I mean, it was for me. I learned a lot.
No, I mean, we already talked about what China's doing with their education. They are going to dominate us in less than 2 decades.
Oh yeah, they are.
It's awful. Okay, so if you guys think the teachers are lazy, put lazy in chat. If you think it's because of the unions, put unions in chat. I want to get a read on the audience here on this one because we're split here. So
yeah.
I want to see what.
I think
you guys can be the
I think it's
tiebreaker.
both at the same time, to be honest and to be
right,
frank.
it is, but the top contributor. Is it laziness?
I think it's unions, honestly.
Or is it the unions being unions?
I think it's unions being unions. I think there are quite a bit of
lazy unions.
Lazy unions, maybe both. I think it's a bit of both. But I think
okay, we got one unions and then a couple lazy unions, but
okay,
mostly
maybe
lazy.
It might be lazy people, but I think that the unions are definitely like the unions are supposed to speak for the majority of them. So, and then the other people that are like that have their voice and like, no, I want to go back to class. The unions are like, shh, we speak now.
There's a guy named Jay Badass Owski in chat.
Jay Badass Owski, cool. Welcome.
Like
haven't seen you before.
Nope. Love it.
We like your name. That's
yeah,
pretty cool.
I think they mostly agree with you.
No,
they're lazy.
I mean, they are lazy and unions, and it's a whole heaping mess. But I also think these teachers have kind of used this COVID pandemic as an excuse to just continue.
Definitely.
To just be terrible influences on their students, and also to just again, probably sit back and be like, yo, I don't got to go out to the office supply store and buy shit anymore. I don't have to waste my own money on these stupid ass kids. Like, the parents are actually going to take control of that. Cool. Like, they're probably happy with that. So why would they want to give that up?
Yep, definitely. I would agree with that assessment.
I wouldn't want to give that up I mean, I would if I was in that and I had been accustomed to that for quite a while, for like a long period of time after getting nothing but crap dumped on me.
Remember, we're talking about people who already get half the year off.
Yeah.
In a normal year.
Yeah, they get, what is it, June, July, August. They get 3 months off. That's pretty good.
So,
And if I
outside,
had kids, I would want to be a school teacher.
you would want to?
If I had children, yes.
We need to decentralize and just teach our own kids everything.
I think so too.
This could be a good impetus for that. I think if we were to try, you got to try and spin the positives out of this kind of stuff. If you want to try and spin a positive out of this, it's that it is going to point out all the flaws with public education, which it's doing. We all know.
Yes.
You guys know how terrible it is because of what they teach you. But not only that, but how ineffective it is. And, the fact that it doesn't even... We were already at the point like 20 years ago, or maybe 10, 15 years ago, where college and school was not preparing you for the real world effectively.
Yeah.
Now we're 20 years into that. It's time we need to start picking up on that and realize that the school systems aren't going to change. Public schools aren't going to change. So we need to try to go back to a homeschooling type situation.
I think
Decentralized education, go back to the home, do online, private, like not public, online, private, that you pay money for because it's going to be much more effective, and they have to respond to performance. If you, that's the problem with schools and teachers. They don't have to perform. They're not held to any standards. They're not judged what they should do. Oh, here's a great idea. Just see, this is why we think on the fly, and then we come up with great ideas.
Yes.
Rate this idea, okay? The teachers and schools are rated based on their past outcomes. So students who come from certain schools, that data feeds back their earnings and their incomes, their average earnings, feedback into that school's statistics. So you look at a school and you say, well, this school produces people who are 20% above the average earners. Okay, high performing.
Okay.
We don't need to really make any changes here. But when you go to a school that says, okay, in Chicago, for example, just pick any random school in Chicago, they're all shit.
Yeah.
Find one. And, okay, this school is producing people who are 35% below the average national earnings. We need to make some changes here. Let's look at the curriculum.
Yeah.
Let's use this as an impetus for change, because that's how capitalism works, which is why capitalism is effective.
Yes.
There's no having to respond to performance or incentives in the public school system. So you
Yeah.
have stuff like this where they are producing people who are 40, 50, 60% below the average, but they don't have to respond to it. They don't have to make any changes. They're not judged. They're not
They're not
rate-
reprimanded.
They're not
They-
reprimanded. They're not rated on their performance. They're
Yeah.
not fired. Nothing.
Not
Nothing happens.
to mention, there's like pride in being the biggest loser nowadays. So
So there you go.
you get a trophy if you're the worst. So enjoy.
See, probably the reason why people are so anti-school vouchers is because in a school voucher system, you would have those statistics available,
Yes.
or something like that. You would see some kind of performance statistics per school, and then it would be, as far as the parents and the students are concerned, no different than what it is right now. You would just pick which school you want your kid to go to based on who's performing higher.
Yeah.
And that would force schools to respond to incentives and force them to correct their shitty behaviors.
Yeah, that's what my parents did when they came to picking my school. I went to a freaking charter school, and that was a really, really, really good school, high performing.
Yep.
Had good curriculum on top of like stuff that I was interested in, which was art, dance, music, acting, all that stuff. So it was a really good fit. And if it wasn't for school choice, I wouldn't have been able to go to that really good school. I would have had to go to my local high school, which is a piece of shit that, has a bunch of drug addict, pyromaniac losers that aren't performing well. And my mom and dad didn't want that for me. So they made sure that, like, it was even out of district. Like, we had to go to a completely different district.
See, okay, Ruby brings up a great point, Chad. She said, I don't know if Ruby's I don't know what you're, how you identify.
We don't know what your gender is, but
I'm gonna
call them they, them, or Jim.
They say, we need to get these students with no math degrees to build our bridges and skyscrapers. Okay, now, see, that's funny.
That would be a good.
It's funny, but this is how reality works. Reality is inescapable. If you school your public like we do right now, where you teach them how to be Black Lives Matter protesters instead of learning how to do geometry and algebra. Those are the people who are going to go out in your workforce. Those are the people who will be building your bridges eventually.
I know.
And then that's where you start to see, because we don't have immediate feedback on the poor performance of schools. It's kind of a 10, 20-year delay.
Yes.
As they get out into the real world.
It's a whole
You're
generation.
going to start to see stuff just slowly crumbling. Not an explosion, not a giant collapse. Just slowly, everything's going to start to crumble and deteriorate on a societal level because everyone is retarded. IQ is going down. Education is awful. They don't know what they're doing. That is a real thing. It's going to happen slowly over time. They are going to build the bridges.
Oh, they are. They definitely are. I mean, I don't doubt that, especially with how we don't push science, mathematics, any of that stuff on our kids anymore. Like, we don't put
Oh,
in the
Secret's
forefront.
Miles. Yeah, okay, I got you. Sorry,
Okay.
I was just reading chat.
Oh, Miles. Hell yeah, welcome.
Miles is one of the OGs.
OG.
The Idiocracy Theory. Yeah, there you go. See, now it's got a name. Idiocracy Theory. See, here I was thinking I was being all smart and original.
Yeah.
Stalking
well,
Horse says the left will take funding away from high-performing schools.
Yes, they will. They already try to do that, so...
That's their game. That's their playbook. Smash down the high performers.
Yeah, smash down the high performers, but even if you give the high performers less money, they're still going to be high performers. So their theory doesn't work. Like, that's what's really sad. They think that, like, high performance mean, like, yes, more, like, if you perform high, you get more money. But they think that more money makes them high performance. No, what makes them high performance means that they, like, have good teachers, good curriculum, like, good students that actually pay attention and test well and, you know, are involved in their communities and stuff like that. That's not something that, like, more money can fix. Like, California in general, we spend way more per student than any other state, and look how shitty our schools are. It's not a money thing. It's
Right.
it's a individual student and their parents thing.
No, yeah, it's not a money thing for sure. And we've provided the example of comparing Chicago to, like, Utah schools, for example,
Oh,
where Chicago
yeah.
spends $14,000 per student. Utah spends, you know, like 3,000 or 5,000, something like that. They get way better outcomes.
Yes,
It's not about money.
because in Utah, their parents are actually involved in their students, and they love their
Parents
their
are involved. The
kids.
curriculum is probably ridiculed and criticized and looked at a little bit closer.
And they probably teach their students there, like, real life things that'll help them get ahead in
Yes,
life.
yeah,
as
not
opposed-
how to be a protester.
Not how to be a protester. They teach them, like, you know, shop skills. You know, they teach the girls homemaking and all that good stuff, how to cook and sew and be a good wife. Like, and that's also stuff that your parents should teach you. But, you know, back in the day, that's what they taught you at school.
Yeah, no child left behind. Just another lowest common denominator equity policy.
That was the worst policy that George W. Bush could have ever done to
Well,
our schools.
we've talked about how this isn't bullshit, people. They want to eliminate the concept of meritocracy, okay? They think achieving, being smart, excelling is white supremacy. They want to eliminate it.
They want to eliminate
We've already talked about
math.
San Francisco schools who want to do lotteries for everything. It's all random. We talked about how they want to eliminate grading, eliminate testing, all this stuff where you know stuff that makes you try to reach higher and become something better than what you are currently
Want to take away incentives.
and grow. Yeah, and destroy incentives.
Like,
so
if it's a lottery, there's no incentive to do better and try harder. You know?
Holly had a great comment. I want to find here. Where was it? Okay, yeah, she says load-bearing walls are racist.
They got the jokes in the chat tonight, y'all.
That's how we do it over here at the Weekly
This is
Narrative.
how we do it.
We're about halfway through the stream right now, guys. If you just joined us, we are the #1 alt-centrist podcast on the internet.
Numero uno.
Find us on iTunes, Google, Stitcher, and Spotify.
Yep, just a shameless plug right there.
And if you're listening on those podcasts, you can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/Weekly Narrative, 7 p.m. PST every Tuesday and Saturday. We've done almost 40 of these now in a row
Yes.
without missing one.
I mean, I missed a couple when you were sick with COVID.
I still went and did it solo.
Yeah, he still did it solo, but I didn't join him
40
for
in a
that.
row, people. That's how dead serious
I
we
didn't
are.
want his
And
germs.
if you like the objective observer viewpoint, if you think that these are the kind of ideas that should be more proliferated in society, you can support us on weeklynarrative.locals.com. Become a supporter there.
Yes.
Not only can you help us provide financial support, but you do get the private stream access.
Yeah, and you can talk to him directly too.
Get the inner circle access. That's right. So when I form my new city, my high-tech utopia city, you guys can get private direct invites
Hell yeah.
to come and live with me.
when he starts his cult.
Yep, totally going to be a cult leader.
But you'll be better cult leader than all the other cult leaders combined.
That's what every cult leader says.
Because
And if they don't say that, they're not good cult leaders.
well, because most of the cult leaders that I've seen, they usually let the women kind of run everything. Whereas you're going to be like, no, women go to the kitchen where you belong.
No, we respect the biological truth
The biological
in my
hierarchy.
society. Yes. So, speaking of COVID,
Yeah, we're still on the COVID section.
we're going to make a slight pivot, but we're still talking about COVID
Yeah.
in a different context.
Mm-hmm.
There was some pretty big events that happened over the last weekend. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but there was a sporting event that happened
Yes.
with a lot of people in attendance, and that was the Super Bowl. We're talking about.
It was only a quarter of the stadium capacity, though. Did you know?
Oh, it was full of cardboard
Yeah,
cutouts.
it was mostly cardboard cutouts, but it still had 25,000 people in it. But it was only at a quarter capacity.
This Super Bowl was held
Capacity.
in Tampa,
Tampa Bay.
and there's been a lot of talk on the internet about the response to the Super Bowl, the fact that there was people without masks at the Super Bowl when Tom Brady and all the teams won. They were all, kissing and hugging and talking to each other, and they didn't have any masks on. People were a little upset.
Well, I mean, no offense, but these guys were on the field with like body parts in each other's faces. So I think like not wearing a mask is
COVID
fine.
doesn't go through helmets.
Yeah, it doesn't go through helmets. And also too, Tom Brady when he was walking into the stadium, he was wearing no mask and happy and smiling. Like it was great.
So we've got a response here from the Tampa mayor, Jane Castor,
Oh, okay.
has heard these cries for justice for those who weren't wearing masks.
Oh, come on.
No, this is dead serious.
Really?
And we have a response from her. It's a minute long. I want to have you guys listen to this clip.
Okay.
What are we going to do about all those people that were not wearing masks
Oh, okay.
at the Super Bowl?
See what this mayor lady says.
Here we go.
It's the leader of Florida
Everyone
or
knows
Tampa.
that simply wearing a mask dramatically reduces the spread of COVID-19.
No, it
And
doesn't.
I'm proud to say that the majority of individuals that I saw out and about enjoying the festivities associated with the Super Bowl were complying. You know, we had tens of thousands of people all over the city, downtown, out by the stadium, Ybor City, down here in Channelside, and very, very few incidents. So I'm proud of our community, but those few bad actors will be identified, and
Bad
the
actors.
Tampa Police Department will handle it.
Oh, okay.
They will be identified, and the police department will handle it.
Okay.
Are we talking about people? Are we talking about people who mugged people, beat people, stole a car,
No,
or
they just didn't wear a mask.
didn't wear a mask?
So is she gonna go after Tom Brady for not wearing a mask?
Tom Brady's already in jail.
Oh, okay.
Yep, that's breaking news.
Breaking news,
There
folks.
just has
Tom
to be
Brady's
that
in jail
level
for
of
not wearing a
personal
mask into the stadium.
Responsibility. You can supply everyone with a mask, advise them of the science behind it, and expect that they are going to abide by the mask order. Again, you're going to find a few that don't. The majority that I saw were wearing masks.
So there you go, guys.
Okay,
Law enforcement will handle the situation.
So if the majority's wearing the masks and complying, why not just be happy with that and just leave the few people that are like not complying and are just doing their own thing? If a majority is doing it,
see
then
where you're going with
why go
that.
after like the tiny little fraction? That just doesn't make sense to me.
It's because remember,
Why waste police resources on this?
they operate under the perfection fallacy. Remember that. Leftists and
Oh.
Democrats, their whole worldview is based on the idea that perfection is attainable.
Oh, okay.
Yep, and the fact that they don't
didn't
have
know that.
perfection, it means there's some injustice at hand.
okay.
And in this case, that injustice happens to be not wearing a mask. But don't worry, the law enforcement will handle the situation.
Okay, we're gonna just waste police officers' times on this. You know, they could be figuring out like about murders, rapes,
Nope.
crimes that actually have real
Nah.
victims.
Nah.
But she wants to waste police officers on identifying people that didn't wear masks during the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl parties. Sounds great.
Twitter broke down on a Tom Brady as Tom Brady winning was white supremacy. Oh, we're gonna get into that. Don't
yeah.
worry about that. I got a bunch of examples.
Yeah.
Can't wait to go. That's what I said when the reaction was the best part.
Yeah.
People lost their minds
Oh, I know.
over Tom Brady winning just because he was white.
I know, just because he's white.
Yep.
It's really sad. It really, really is sad. Okay, we'll get into that later.
Tyler says, whoa, whoa, whoa. You just said football helmets are invincible against COVID. Time to invest. Russell's. Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
let's do it.
I mean, apparently, science, right? They were on the field.
They're on the field, face to face, or junk in face, whatever it may be.
I can only deduce, as an objective observer, that if we're dealing with a deadly pandemic, you wouldn't put someone face to face with, unless you had some kind of protection mechanism. The only
right.
protection mechanism they had was a helmet. So I have to assume that the helmet protects you from COVID.
And then when they're in the huddle too, and they're like talking about the plays, they have their helmets on and they're all close to each other. They're not socially distancing and they're not wearing masks under those helmets. So the helmets have to protect them.
They will review footage and knock on people's doors. They will use facial identification technology to tested to the limits. Yeah, the scary part is they have that ability. If they wanted to, they could use the facial recognition technology to enforce or handle, quote unquote, handle the situation. I mean, they will be identified.
I mean, they probably
She said
will.
it.
Yeah.
She said it. No, she said they'll be identified.
So if you live in Tampa, just to let you know, this is who your mayor is.
It's kind of weird because the governor of Florida is so based.
I know, he's pretty cool. Like he's left the state open.
No, he's not pretty cool. He's the best governor in the entire country right now.
I can't give him like too much credit because the bar is pretty low when it comes to best here in the United States.
That's true, but it still doesn't change the fact that he's number one.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, he is number one, but the bar is just so low that even at number one, when the bar is that low, it's like.
If it wasn't so far away, I'd probably move there instead of Texas.
Yeah, I feel you.
It's literally on the other side of the country. It's like,
I've thought about Florida just because I love Florida. I've been there before. Florida's pretty freaking cool, and I've been to Tampa. Tampa's a pretty cool city, and they have a lot of stuff there. But the fact that they have a stupid ass mayor like this is kind of sad.
All right, let's look into some of the responses here from people on Twitter because, as mentioned in chat already, because chat seemingly knows exactly where I want to go with the stream and provides me with the best segues. We have a smorgasbord, a buffet of delicious, hilarious tweets regarding the Super Bowl and Tom Brady.
Hell yeah.
And Black History Month and all manner of other stupid low IQ things like that. I was going to use a different word there, but I refrained with self-control because I have the ability to withhold immediate gratification.
Good for you, Jeremy.
Unlike most of the population of the country.
And me, I can't.
So here's a picture of a duck with the mask on. Just
like we predicted.
Just like I predicted, by the way. That was just.
Oh, there's an eagle with the mask on its leg.
Yeah, we'll talk about that some other time. How the PPE is definitely polluting America. But let's go through here. Just kind of shotgun through these lists. We have a tweet here from Eliza Orleans, blue check mark. So this is somebody that Twitter approves of. Okay. She says, watching the Super Bowl and seeing so many people in one place is making my heart race. This feels unsafe. And I guess I'm rooting for the team with the racist name over the team with the Trump-loving quarterback in a sport that still hasn't apologized to Colin Kaepernick.
What? Okay. I heard a lot of people complaining about the Chiefs' name, and I just roll my eyes because it's so stupid.
I love it. It's just filling me up. My tank is filling up right now. It's
so great.
It's brimming.
These people and their delusion is quite amusing.
Tom Brady is winning a Super Bowl on Black History Month doesn't sit right with me. 300 likes and 200 retweets.
Okay,
y'all rooting for Tom Brady during Black History Month. Y'all some coons. Damn y'all.
Oh, okay. Well, that's...
So there you go. I think somebody in chat said that somebody in chat said that all the people on Tom's team were coons for helping him win.
Or Uncle Tom's.
Yeah.
Uncle Tom Brady.
So in case you guys aren't aware, calling black people coons and Uncle Tom's is totally cool as long as, they're not leftists. If they're conservatives, if they're totally different, then these are racial epithets that are totally fine to use, even though coon is it's an animal.
You're black conservative. You're definitely an Uncle Tom.
Yeah, no. So just so you guys are aware of the rules, comparing a black person to a gorilla, for example,
racist.
Definitely racist. Comparing a black person to a raccoon,
not racist.
Totally not racist. Totally fine. Totally cool.
Especially if they're black conservative and comparing them to a raccoon, because to
Oh God, just
the
do it all.
raccoon-
Yeah,
the
do it all day.
raccoons are the bottom feeders.
Do it all day. They don't care.
Like, oh my God, that's such a hypocrisy. Calling a black person a gorilla shouldn't be so bad, because gorillas are big and powerful and beautiful.
Tom Brady won another ring during Black History Month.
Hell yeah, that white
Yeah.
supremacist.
Yep. And let's see. I'm scrolling down here through all my likes here. I just basically liked all these. Okay. Rooting for Tom Brady is rooting for white supremacy.
Okay, good.
Tom Brady is guilty of succeeding while white because somebody says here, Tom Brady is the everyday story of white men in America. They get put in the perfect situation, become successful, and then get all the credit when the credit is due to an environment that breeds success. I'm so sick of it.
Oh, so because Tom Brady was born into a family with a mother and a father, was raised right, has morals and principles, worked his ass off, and still continues to work his ass off. Like, have you looked into like the diet that he's on?
It's fun.
He's like super strict with his schedule. He's regimented,
course.
everything. Like,
That's what you have to do to become the greatest of all time.
exactly. And because he's white and he's able to do that, it's like white supremacy.
Well, it's ironic because this guy's actually correct. And it just so
Yeah,
happens
he's-
that white people are the ones who traditionally have been raising people in a two-parent
A
household,
nuclear family.
teaching them how to be successful, not teaching them how to blame everyone else except for them. And so he says an environment that breeds success.
I
Yeah, that's
know.
called a two-parent
That's
household.
called a nuclear family.
Yeah, that's called a nuclear family.
Like that's what's normal and expected of you, is to get married, have kids, raise your children. Like,
Rooting for Tom Brady is basically supporting white supremacy.
not reading the replies. Oh, okay, so you're not going to read anybody that goes against
No, because
you.
he knows that this 5,000 like tweet is, going to generate some backlash. But 5,000 people liked that, so
Wow.
just gives you an idea for the sentiment there. And this is great. This one's great. This is Chris Hayes, who is a host of a show on MSNBC. Okay, and he says, admittedly, we're 11 months into a pandemic, and we're all dyspeptic. But just about every single second of an ad copy I've seen tonight during the Super Bowl has filled me with rage.
Rage. I mean, I felt rage about the ads too, but
Oh, can you imagine being one of these people? You get rage from a commercial
I don't understand how they're so enraged by these commercials. All of these commercials were
because
just
they're mentally ill.
These commercials were literally giving them everything that they wanted. These commercials were out there saying, like, we hear you, we want equality, Black History Month, yeah, rah rah, we're with you, and they're still mad about it. Like, what?
That's what mental illness does to you.
They even had the Black National Anthem sung before the American National
We're gonna
Anthem.
get into that. We're gonna get into that. Yep. Remember, guys, these guys are crying about white supremacy, racism, being filled with rage for seeing commercials over, like you said, the most blackified, if that's even a word, Super Bowl of all time.
Yes, the guy who sang the halftime show was a freaking black dude, black Canadian.
Aside from whipping white people and giving them lashes on the field, they did everything in their power to promote black people, to say, oh, black people are so great, white people are terrible, and all that kind of stuff. Everything in their power, between the commercials, the pregame shows. They had Black Girl give like some kind of poetry slam at the
Yes,
beginning, which was god awful. Come on, Jesus
they had a
Christ.
black woman
black-
she played guitar and sang America the Beautiful.
A black guy giving the Super Bowl halftime show
Yes.
about racial.
Most of the players in the NFL are black.
This just proves that you cannot satisfy them. You can go to as far of lengths as humanly possible, and you cannot satisfy them. They still cry white supremacy. They still get filled with rage.
Yeah,
There's nothing you can do to satisfy these people.
it's really sad. Like,
And
the delusion is sad.
this one is great. The first shot of the crowd of people who were way too close, and at least one woman was not wearing a mask, was too much for me. It made me queasy. On our drive home, we were listening to Ezra Klein interview somebody else about the pandemic, and I kept thinking, we've learned nothing.
Sounds like you need to stop listening to Ezra Klein, lady.
Ezra Klein, by the way, is the guy who runs Vox.
Oh, I figured it was some
So,
kind of like
yep.
left-leaning, like
No,
liberal, just hotbed of trash.
I gotta reread this one. Come on. The first shot of the crowd of people who were way too close, and at least one woman was not wearing a mask, was too much for me. It was too much for me.
It made her queasy. It
It
made her
made me
physically
queasy.
ill. Like
Jesus Christ.
that is quite a sad state to live in if I was that person.
And then on a high note from the Babylon Bee, I thought this was a hilarious article. 138,000 points suddenly awarded to Kansas City Chiefs at halftime.
Hell yeah.
They did a great job with that one.
They did. I love Babylon Bee. They're hilarious.
So that is kind of just a sampling. Okay, that was like the $20 buffet version of all the responses to the Super Bowl. But in general, you can tell what the theme is. It's all about white supremacy. If you rooted for Tom Brady, it's white supremacy. Tom isn't successful because he works hard. He's successful because he's white.
He's not the GOT because of anything else other than he's white.
That was another thing that happened. That there was a big discussion happening around
GOAT,
the fact that the GOAT, the GOAT, meaning the greatest of all time. Tom Brady is the greatest athlete of all time. And then what is the predictable and inevitable response to that happened was, well, no, he's not. What about all these black athletes? What about these female athletes? And they were like, look at Serena Williams. She has 18 titles.
You can't compare tennis to football.
Serena Williams lost to a ranked 200 male.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you put Serena Williams up against the worst male tennis player, she would lose.
I'm pretty sure.
Just like Billie Jean King did. She didn't win that. People thought like that match that Billie Jean King had was historic, and I was like, yeah, it was historic, but she lost. So
yeah, the cardboard cutouts weren't wearing masks. I'm pissed.
Right? Oh my God, yeah.
I think I have a really hot take I want to drop, but I'm not sure if I want to drop it.
Okay, well.
Do you guys want me to drop a super hot take here?
I want you to drop it.
It could get me canceled.
Now I want you to say it.
No, I'm only going to do it for the audience.
Well, I'm pretty sure they're going to want you
I
to
gotta
say
get
it
them pumped
because
up.
they love you.
This is the equivalent of where you're at the concert and then the DJ's like, put your hands in the air, right? Because if the drop is coming, and I want to make sure that everyone's participating in the drop.
Everybody's hyped.
Yeah, so
Everybody's in it.
I have a steaming hot take, volcanic.
Oh, don't put, like, I'm watching the video playback.
Oh, God.
Your arm up like that.
Jesus. No, I was
definitely get misconstrued.
was emulating a DJ. It was not making any kind of
Yeah, he
hand
was
gestures.
not at all. No way.
drop. Okay, all right. So the greatest of all time in relation to sports can only ever be men.
I think so.
In any sport. Name one sport where women can outcompete men. And this is why, because sports is an objective thing. If I
Yeah.
can deadlift 800 pounds and you can deadlift 750 pounds, I'm better at deadlifting than you.
Yes.
That's how sports works.
Commanderosis says gymnastics, but the men perform better in gymnastics than the
I
women.
thought about that too, but the men can do gymnastics better. It's
Same
just
thing with the ice skating too. I think women can compete, but are they better? That's the
yes,
thing.
right. Now there's a lot of sports where women can give men a run for their money, but I'm saying, name one that women are better at
Yeah,
overall.
Overall.
Gymnastics, the men can do everything better. They can swing higher. They can do more flips, whatever.
Does shopping count?
As far as I'm aware, that has not been made an Olympic sport yet, but judging by the trends of the degeneration of society, it might be soon.
We got a listener, Quora, or I can't say that, synchronized swimming.
Okay.
Pretty sure the men could do better at synchronized swimming too.
I'll cede to that because I've never seen men synchronize swimming, but
I've never
I'm
seen that
pretty
either.
sure that because men are also better at swimming, that men will do synchronized swimming better.
Yeah, I think they could do that way better.
There is one true sport women are better at: on ultra long distance swimming. Is that even a real thing, Arian? I think he's messing
I
with
think
me.
he's been messing with the chat all night.
Double bar gymnastics? See, I don't think so.
I don't think
pretty sure
so.
men are better at that too.
Like if you took the men's gymnastics team in the United States and pinned it against the women's gymnastics team in the United States, I think the men would perform better and get higher scores than the women. Sweeping and curling.
I can say, yeah, I was gonna see that. That's a great one. Holly says sweeping in curling.
Hell yeah, that sweeper. Not the person who does the curling.
It's not sexist because the person who said that, YouTube moderator who's watching this, is a woman. Okay,
Okay.
so she said it. Not me.
RLRL says pool. Jeanette Lee, the Black Widow. Okay, pool, but is pool a sport?
Well, see, here's the trap that people fall into when I provide that hot take, is that they'll say, here's one example of someone who's really good. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that overall, men outcompete women at every sport imaginable. So all these people on Twitter who are saying, oh, Serena Williams, oh, the problem with saying that Tom Brady is the greatest sportsman of all time is that you're excluding all these black athletes. And you're like, no, we're still including those.
Yeah, like nobody's saying that the black
We just have the ability to have more variables in our head than the low IQ people who just, black, white, male, female. No, we're talking about how long it takes to complete a football season, how many seasons happen, like how many games can you play per year? There's bigger things at play. How many seasons can somebody play in a professional career? All these things, like you look at Jordan, how many titles or whatever did he win, stuff like that. All these variables are coming into play, and people are coming to the consensus that Tom Brady is the greatest athlete of all time.
Yeah, he's one of them.
That's all we're saying.
Cheerleading.
Cheerleading?
Well,
I'm pretty sure men would do better than that too.
If it was all men on a cheerleading squad, although I think with cheerleading you need both, because you need the men to hold the women up and be there to catch them and shit, and then you need the tiny women to throw in the air.
All the examples, I got to call out chat, because I'm not going to placate. I'm not going to, just feed into your biases and whatnot. Okay. I have to call you out.
That's fine.
All the examples that they gave were pretty much just sports that women predominantly do.
Yeah,
right.
Of course.
Like the ones that women predominantly are what you see who are doing cheerleading, but men would do it better.
Yeah.
Because cheerleading is what? It's just about body strength.
It's body strength and
agility,
flexibility,
dexterity, which men can do.
Endurance
everything.
As well.
Men can do all that better.
But think about it. If it was like all men doing cheerleading, and if it's all men having to like lift men and like throw men around,
you just get the little shrimpy guys to throw. It's all size based.
That's true.
No,
but I don't think it would. I don't.
See, I'm a base. I'm 6'3".
Yeah, you would be a base.
180. I would be a base.
I would be the person that gets thrown in the air.
I would throw the guy.
I would be the one getting thrown in the air. I would be the flyer. Ballroom dancing. Okay, I mean, ballroom dancing is good, but you need men and women for that. I mean, you can do like 2 women or 2 men in a ballroom floor.
Muscle mass and twitch fiber. Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, we're not saying like women aren't like.
Tyler, I can throw. I'll fly you.
Okay, well.
I can overhead press
I'm
160.
I'm sure there's probably an all-male cheerleading squad out there somewhere. Or if not, somebody's going to start it now.
I think my point landed on, and it generated the proper amount of.
I love it though.
It generated the exact amount of controversy that I wanted it to. So that was a complete success.
And I tend to agree with you. Well, we've seen it happen many a times. Like they've taken the best female golfer, and they've put her against the worst male golfer, and the worst male golfer beats the best female golfer.
Well, that's the Serena Williams. Debacle is that she lost to a ranked 200 college player.
Yeah.
And she's the best of the best of the women.
She is. I remember when I was a kid.
That's all I'm saying.
I used to love her when I was a kid. Her and her sister, because I used to love tennis. I think, but tennis is still cool, but it's.
So what is the end result of, we talked about how they tried to make the Super Bowl super woke, right? They tried to do everything they could. I mean, if you guys watched the football season, they had stuff like Black Lives Matter painted on the fields.
Yeah.
They had Black Lives Matter on the jerseys, on the helmets.
Yeah, they had end racism on the back of their helmets.
Jesus
They
Christ.
had the names of like fallen black people at the hands of police on the back of their helmet, like Breonna Taylor, even though her boyfriend shot at the police and the police shot back.
Say her name.
Yeah, say her name, even though make a statue of her and then have somebody vandalize it 3 weeks later.
Say her name.
Say her name. That's all that matters.
They did all this stuff. And, on top of the Kaepernick stuff that's been going on, and then they did the slam poetry. They had Biden come in and give a little talk at the beginning of the thing. They did the Black National Anthem. They had a black halftime show. All the players are black. I mean, what else could you do? And then on top of it, what was the end result of all the wokeness? There's a saying that goes around the internet these days of what happens when you go woke. Does anybody in chat know that saying?
You go broke.
Why'd you have to give it away?
I'm sorry, my bad.
What happens when you go woke, folks? You know exactly what happens. You go broke.
You go flat broke.
We've seen this happen over and over in games, predominantly games, movies, things like, what was that Marvel movie that was really shitty with that chick? The blonde chick. That tells you how good it is. I don't even know the name.
Marvel movie with the
Captain
blonde.
America. No, it was Captain Marvel.
Oh, Captain Marvel, yeah.
Awful, terrible.
I liked it, but
Fully-
that's just because I think Brie Larson's hot. But
Okay, so we have different criteria.
I
but
know.
Super Bowl posts worst viewer ratings since 2007 from CNBC.com. That's right, folks.
Oh, lovely.
That's right. Everyone in chat knows you go broke.
Yeah, you definitely go broke.
You go woke. You go broke.
Hell yeah.
And this is an example of that.
Worth
Now,
it.
before we got into the Super Bowl, I was paying a little bit of attention to this just from a socio-political standpoint. I noticed things like the fact that Budweiser said they're not going to advertise at the Super Bowl, which is, as far as I can tell, unprecedented. And I'm not a Super Bowl watcher myself. I'm not a football fan.
Yeah.
But even I know that Budweiser every year has a commercial with the Clydesdales
Yeah, it's one of their staples.
at the Super Bowl, and they this year they looked at everything that was happening, the numbers, the ratings, the viewership of the Super Bowl, and they said, nope, not worth it. They weren't going to do it,
Yeah.
and they didn't do it. So advertisers pulled out because the viewership was way down. Ratings were the worst in 13, 14 years, and that's what you get when you go woke.
Well, I just.
It didn't even get 100 million viewers. 96.4 million viewers, which might sound like a lot, but it's awful.
In comparison to what it was in previous years, it's definitely very, very small.
And here's a great picture of the
Yeah, like even the
Cardboard
stadium, even the
cutouts.
stadium wasn't filled all the way, but they had the cardboards there to make it look like
Well, you
it
can't
was.
fill the stadium the whole way.
I wish you could.
I think the quartering started saying it before Tim Pool. Yeah, the quartering definitely popularized the saying, get woke, go broke.
Terrible ratings and many people are stuck at home. Yeah, like
Yeah, exactly.
you
Great
would think
point.
the ratings would be
Great point.
up there because everybody's at home and they have
Right,
time to watch
nobody
it.
has anything else to do.
Yeah, you have time to actually watch the Super Bowl because most people would probably work on Super Bowl, or if they didn't, they, would stay at home and watch it. But nobody watched it except for me.
They managed to fail harder than ever in a time where every other form of remote entertainment is in a huge boom because
really
of the
sad.
remote. Yeah.
I mean, I only watched it because I wanted to solidify why I stopped watching football in the first place was because of all the wokeness.
No, you and a lot of people that I know.
I stopped watching because of all the wokeness, and I wanted to see firsthand the Super Bowl and see if the wokeness was still there or if it had died down. But nope, it was
Yep.
like full up in your face. You had, just super weird stuff going on the halftime show. So it was just
Like I said, I don't watch football. I've never been a really big fan, but I know guys. I have a friend who is the biggest football freak you could ever meet in your entire life. He makes bets every year on who's going to win the Super Bowl. His brother was in the NFL. He's played football his entire life. Doesn't watch football anymore because of
Yeah.
it, because of all the Black Lives Matter
I
stuff.
know a lot of
If guys
people
like
that-
him aren't watching it, it's a kind of a no-brainer of what we're seeing right here.
Yeah.
So the numbers are in from CNBC, and the National Football League's biggest game of the year during the season of COVID failed to top 100 million viewers this year. Super Bowl, what is that, 55?
55.
Attracted 96.4 million viewers for Viacom on Sunday. The company announced Tuesday as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers stomped the Kansas City Chiefs 31-9. It's the lowest watched Super Bowl since 2007.
Yeah, because it was the lamest one of all.
When the Indianapolis Colts, the game wasn't bad, but
No, the game was bad because Patrick Mahomes was terrible. Didn't even score one touchdown.
no, Patrick Mahomes was actually pretty stomp. He threw a lot of really crazy throws. It's
Yeah.
just that his receivers were trash, and the defense.
The defense was good. And
Defense!
and Patrick Mahomes' offensive line was trash too. so-
Buccaneers defense was way too tight.
Yeah, and Tom Brady was just on fire that night too.
When the Indianapolis Colts played the Chicago Bears in 2007, that was the last time that the ratings were this terrible. That game attracted 93.1 million viewers.
Okay.
So this has been a trend. We talked about this, or I talked about this. We definitely mentioned it at least once that when the football season started, the premiere was like crazy bomber terrible ratings.
Yeah.
So it was already doing bad, but then they pumped all this Black Lives Matter bullshit throughout the full
Yeah.
year, and it made it even worse.
Well, 'cause
So
sports used to be the place that we all used to be able to go to where it didn't matter, like racism, like the racism and the sexism and all that stuff. It just that's where we would go to escape all of that talk, was talking about sports. And now you can't with sports because
it's true.
they've been infected with the mind virus. The NFL, like the entity that runs the NFL, and MLB too. Like even on baseball, because I like baseball too. My favorite team is the Giants. They were doing the freaking kneeling for the national anthem. They're one of the first ones that started doing that shit.
Yep.
And it just makes me not want to watch. It's like, not because, they don't have a right to protest and do what they do, but I just don't want to see that, especially during the national anthem.
Here's what they should do. This isn't what they're going to do, but I think the commissioner already said they're going to cut back on that stuff because he knows.
Yeah.
The bottom line comes in, you see the numbers, you know that was what's going on. But here's what they could do. They should treat that stuff like they treat the streakers. So when a streaker comes, they don't show it.
Yeah, they're like, nope.
They turn the cameras away.
They don't want to promote it.
Let it happen.
Yeah, let it happen, but don't promote it.
Don't look at it. Don't show it. Don't promote it. I just act like it's not even happening.
To discourage people from doing it.
Yeah, no, if you're at the stadium and you're seeing it happen, cool, fine. You see the retard kneel on the field, whatever. Like you see the retard streaking across the field. Yeah, there's a funny story behind that, by the way, because there was a streaker at the football.
That was hilarious.
But that's how they should treat it. But instead, they're like, oh, let's zoom in on Kaepernick. Get it close up. Oh, this is Kaepernick. He's kneeling. Make sure you get a cry. Oh, look, he's crying. There's tears coming down his face. Zoom in on tears.
Get the half white dude that looks black kneeling for the national anthem for justice. Yeah, no, like, what kind of nonsense is that?
So that's what they could do.
Sits there and hates on white people, but he was raised by white people.
Offering a solution to the NFL commissioner. There you go. For the
or how about like just don't let this like
China dollar.
Just don't let this crap invade your brand, your entity. Like, what kind of CEO or commissioner or whatever that like who runs this crap is like, allowing it to happen?
Okay, so here we go. Are you ready for another hot take?
Okay.
From an objective observer.
Do it.
An alt-centrist.
Yes.
Who's not going to tell you what you want to hear.
Okay.
This could be seen as a valid attempt at capitalizing on the social justice movement, where we see every other company, Nike, Coca-Cola, you name it, they're all bending over backwards to say, we love when you want to change your name because you chopped your dick off. We love you because of your skin color. We don't care. Yeah, exactly. No, they all these companies are making major profits off of touting the social justice movement. Maybe the NFL just were like trying to follow suit. Maybe they saw this and they're like, you know what? Maybe more people will watch if we do this. And it was a 1-year experiment where they went through with all their marketing plans that they had set up before the year, because you don't change a marketing plan halfway through the year. You market a year and then you look back and you say, oh, that was fucking awful. I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah. I think it was like an experiment a little bit. I think the person who runs the NFL, he was like, you know what? Go for it. You guys have been wanting to talk about this crap for all this time. We're going to let the market take its place. And
I mean, we're trying to be generous here, right? We're trying to think of some actual real world logical explanations of why they may have done this. That would be one that I can think of.
To make money.
They wanted to try and capitalize it because they saw everyone else doing it, and it didn't work out. So now they're going to try and change course. And I would bet money that you're not going to see Black Lives Matter on the field next season. You're not going to see Breonna Taylor on the helmets.
I mean, you might, but if you do,
nope.
You think
after the worst ratings in 14 years?
I don't know, man.
The bottom line talks.
I don't know.
The bottom line is the loudest voice.
But when you get sucked into this vortex of social justice and anti-white nonsense, like, it's hard to get yourself out of it at this point.
You got to remember,
they've embraced it wholeheartedly and are like, yeah, social justice and racism, yeah, let's do it. Like, just embrace it.
The people at the top, they don't care.
I know they don't care.
They don't care one way or the other. They're just trying to figure out what makes them the most money.
Okay, well.
Because remember, the NFL is a corporation.
Yeah.
A big one.
Yeah,
they make millions of dollars off of
billions.
merchandising and viewers. That's the way they make money.
Yeah.
So when their bottom line is down because of this, my guess is that they're going to respond to the market.
But what if they don't understand that it is this like SJW anti-white nonsense that they're peddling on us isn't the reason why the viewership is down? What if they what if they still keep all of that
What if
stuff?
they blame it on COVID or something?
What if they blame it on something stupid that makes no sense so that way they can still continue to push this narrative? That's what I think that they're going to do.
Maybe. Well, see again. We're talking about the real world here.
Because these people don't want to face the harsh reality that a lot of people who watch their stuff are not into the social justice nonsense. They don't want to face that.
I don't think so. Because, like I said, we're talking about the real world here. There is consequences. You can't talk away the consequences by calling it bigoted, calling it racist, calling it homophobic. Those terrible ratings aren't going to go away because you say ism over and over and over. those people, paychecks, their houses, their cars, they're not going to go to buy another Porsche next year because of that. And they realize that. They see that. So we're talking about a real company who has financial bottom lines.
I mean, I think if they were smart, they would not do it again. But
That's what I'm saying. If they're going to respond to the market, it might take them a year, but if they're going to respond, they're definitely not going to emphasize that as much as they did before.
I mean, like I said, if they were smart, they would cut out all this social justice warrior nonsense. Like, if they want to, for the national anthem, if the players want to stand in the back and not stand for the national anthem, let them. Don't, like, make kneeling not a thing anymore. Don't put the little names on the back of the helmet and those stupid catchphrases. And
Yeah, see, Osa says, I think Osa agrees with me. He says the team owners care about money.
Yeah.
They're not benevolent. They don't care about morality, social justice movements.
That's right. I agree. But, like I said, once you've been infected with the mind virus and you're trying to make money off of the people that have the mind virus, because those are the people that are left that's watching football.
Now remember, these people aren't infected by the mind virus. These are executives who
think
are on
they
their
are.
yachts and they're looking at how to make money. They're getting marketing reports from trendy little millennials who are giving them spreadsheets and pie charts that say, well, Coca-Cola made a bunch of money by making commercials all about black people. And then they said, well, if that's what's going to make us money, run it.
Okay.
And when that same millennial with the spreadsheets comes back and on the yacht and he says, sir, here's the numbers for the year.
We lost money.
We did really awfully. He's going to say,
You're fired, get out.
Yeah, he's going to say, you're fired. And to the next guy, he's going to say, hey, whatever this guy did, do the opposite of that.
Well, if he was smart, if they were smart, each individual team owner and also the commissioner of the NFL, then they would stop. I agree. They should stop that stuff because viewer ratings are down. I stopped watching completely football because of all this SJW nonsense, and I know plenty of people that are in the same boat as me. So if they were smart, they wanted to get their viewership back up and get more money, then that's what they would do. But
it will be interesting because, again, this is a real world situation where most of the time you're dealing with this gray, half in, half out, no consequences type of situations where you can peddle this BS as a member of the public office, like as a governor or a mayor, like Cuomo. You could peddle the wokeism, but there's no consequences. There's consequences here.
yeah.
So we're going to see how capitalism works. If capitalism is still functioning, if these people actually do respond to incentives.
Well, I think if anything, this whole thing with the NFL and the Super Bowl and all of the terrible viewership ratings and all that stuff, it's just going to make people go watch the XFL. So it's going to put more money into the hands of Vince McMahon. So
Well, here's the take. Here
good
we
job.
All
Good
minus
job.
one. What's up, buddy? Welcome. He says, Hollywood doesn't care. Sports don't care. The media doesn't care about money. The executives are leftists because they get government protection, and indoctrination is why they do these things. Okay, so he's taking
I think he's on
the
my
exact.
side.
Yeah, he's taking your side. He's saying the executives, the guys on the yachts, are actually trying to spread the ideology, and they don't care about the checks.
Yeah, they don't. At this point, they don't care about the checks because they are sitting on piles of money. Like, they could care less about the checks. Because they own freaking football teams. Do you know how much money it costs to own a freaking football team? It's not like a cheap.
A lot of money.
It's not a cheap endeavor. So, of course, these guys want their money, but they want people. They want to keep people on the hook for their team. So, if the viewers are the ones that are on the hook watching this crap are a bunch of mind virused out people that are into that SJW nonsense, they're going to just appeal to their market of the people that are left watching this garbage. Like normal rational folk like me and like the rest of people that are seeing all that stuff that are stop watching it. We're not gonna.
No, you see. Okay, so here's my counter argument to that.
Okay.
We already saw tons of examples of how even going that far to go woke does not make people enjoy your product.
Yeah.
You're not going to get more viewers. You're not going to get more indoctrinated people. You're not going to spread effectively this mind virus by pumping it through the conduit of professional sports. Because those people, first of all, don't watch sports. And the ones who watch the sports are already predisposed against those ideas. So you could make the argument that they're trying to brainwash those people who are directly against those ideas. But the woke people, they're not going to watch football because Black Lives Matter is in the field. They're not going to gain viewership. They're not going to, like I said, they're not going to indoctrinate more people. I think the point of those people who really want to indoctrinate is to indoctrinate more people, spread the ideology. you're making people hate that ideology more because it's just not the right target market.
I agree with that analysis entirely, but unfortunately, these idiots are surrounded by other idiots that are convincing them otherwise. And they're, like I said,
The millennials with spreadsheets.
the millennials with spreadsheets,
Sir,
the beta males with the spreadsheets, they're the ones that are convincing these business guys that have millions and billions of dollars to like basically lose money.
Sir, our spreadsheets say that the hot keywords for this year are woke, Black Lives Matter.
So like, yeah, if they were smart, they
White
would
supremacy.
stop all of this nonsense and just like go back to what football used to be. But
Well, you know what?
I hope they do.
The great part about this is that we will see.
Yeah, we will see.
We will find out what they're gonna do. And I'm gonna side on the side of capitalism. I think that these people are still greedy and that they want the money more than indoctrinating people.
Okay.
So my prediction would be that next year we see a little bit less of this type of stuff.
I just know a lot of people that absolutely loved all of the social justice nonsense during the Super Bowl. So, and they loved like the Weeknd's demonic halftime performance. Thought it was the greatest thing.
Corporatism, that's what's going on, says Samantha.
Something like that. Whatever big fancy name you want to give it sounds great.
Maybe. Okay, so here's another argument, another angle. This is what's great about doing a stream where you're not sticking to one particular ideology or one line, one narrative, because we get different perspectives and we can evaluate them. Holly says the bigger picture is this: wokeness divides common man so effectively. Big sports is in bed with those who are needing to direct our focus on the silly battles. So maybe they're not trying to indoctrinate more people. Maybe they're not trying to make money. Maybe it's neither of ours ideas. Maybe they're just trying to literally sow as much chaos as possible because they know that people at Super Bowl parties, it's just like Thanksgiving, right? If you gather around a large group of people, your family or whatever it is, super spreading it up like I was, if you bring up political issues, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to start some stuff.
It's going to start some fights.
It's going to break.
It's going to go outside.
It's going to divide people. So there's another option.
I think
Maybe if they're just straight up nihilist and they're saying, we don't care about the money, we don't want to indoctrinate anybody, we just want to break up the country as much as possible. That's also another option.
I think that's a little bit more accurate. They're in bed with all of the people that do want to separate the country and do want to, like, even that freaking Jeep commercial with Bruce Springsteen, where at the very end it said like, this is the reunited states.
Oh yeah.
After he's talking about being in the middle and how
With the red star and everything.
yeah, and how he's in the middle, and the people in the middle who are neither red or blue, you know, we're coming together to reunite the United States. And it's like so much, just like the ads were divisionist. Like again, like they sang the Black national anthem before our national anthem. Like they're really like.
No, that's a good point. There was a lot of undertones of division versus unity.
Yeah. You know,
And
for people that say they want unity, they're like talking about division quite often.
Well, here's the difference. They're talking about unity, but every action that we're seeing is all about division. So it's like
it's a mind virus. It's a mind.
They're trying to play a trick on us by saying unity. Yeah,
unity. Yeah, unity through separation.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's that's
unity through segregation. That reminds me of a time not too long ago in the United States where there was a unity through segregation in the part of the continent. We don't want that again, do we?
I don't know, Bill. Bill says that they control the narrative. Look at the history of American indoctrination. Anyone who did vote Biden is the enemy. Free markets aren't the ruling factor. It's power and control. Yeah, but see, that power and control is perpetuated by mega corporations. And what do the mega corporations need in order to maintain and persist that influence? If the NFL goes broke and nobody watches and they don't have any games and they can't pay for the good players and they can't play for the good scouts and they can't play for the good scholarships to make good players come into the show, then they're dead. Nobody's going to watch them. It's going to be a dead sport. So they lose their influence. They lose their ability to perpetuate the narrative. So if anything, there has to be a balance between profits and the narrative, because they need to maintain that level of prominence that they have that gives them the pedestal to preach out this message.
Well, do you think that I was going to say the companies that create like the gear and all the stuff that they have, I'm pretty sure that they're like sponsors of some kind to the NFL, like, Nike and all that shit.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
So they're going to make their money no matter what, because Nike's like all on board with the SJW nonsense. And if Nike's on board with it, like, I don't know. I don't think that this whole thing is going to go away.
Maybe
because the ratings are bad. I hope that I in my heart hope that they see that these terrible ratings are because of all of this nonsense, and they change their way, and they like a true capitalist should do. You see that the market is demanding something different, you change your strategy, you change your tactics. But I don't know if they are surrounded and smart enough to figure this out right now.
Yeah, when the people are focusing on NFL ratings, Dems are rigging elections behind the scenes. Exactly.
I mean, they've always been rigging, so. Or what did they say? Fortifying.
Fortifying.
Yeah, they fortify it. They're not rigging. It's
trying to get me
fortification.
banned off YouTube. They're fortifying.
Yeah, get it right, folks.
I'd like to see prostate cancer ribbons in football with a masculine colored ribbon.
Right? Me too. What about all the other cancers?
Motor gong. Yes, I'd agree with that. Yeah, where's the? I want like a black ribbon. Because that's probably the most manly color.
I think so. If they're gonna do freaking breast cancer, they need to be equally representative to they need to have like a kind of cancer that men die of predominantly, which is like what, prostate cancer or colon cancer or something like that. Like, come on now, we don't want to be sexist here.
I don't think that football is going to be a lasting conduit for social justice, because
It can't be.
you have to have a way. I mean, football is one of the reasons why we fell into this in the first place, because football is what Bill Hicks talked about this. I don't know if you talked about football specifically, but you consume stuff like football. I mean, I'm not a football fan,
Yeah.
and I don't view most football fans favorably. I think that people who care about the tribal relationship of my team versus your team is petty. It's stupid.
Yeah,
and
it
people who
is.
spend energy and time on that kind of stuff, like, oh no, we would have won that last game if this guy caught the ball instead of dropping the ball.
But it's fun. It's fun to shit talk.
That's the thing. That's exactly it. They need to keep you hypnotized. They need to keep
Hell
you.
yeah.
They need to keep you under.
Keep me on that tit.
And they're breaking the hypnosis by injecting this into the sport. So they're snapping you out of it.
I mean, they should.
But
it definitely
it's
snapped me out of
It's
it.
counterproductive to what they're trying to do. You need to have.
There's not very many smart people anymore who are watching football, unfortunately.
No, there aren't. But I think people in general who are really invested in sports like that, unless you're invested on like a professional level, or you're a bettor or whatever it is. If you just watch it and you're like, oh yeah, Kaepernick is my favorite, this team, or whatever. You have to go to the bar every week and you're like arguing with your buddies, like, oh, no, my team's better, shit like that. You're hypnotized. You're completely distracted, hypnotized, and you're in a state of malleability where you're going to be molded more easily by tribal politics, by all this bullshit that we're seeing now.
Yeah.
So I would say I can't see them destroying football completely, because they need a method to keep the population hypnotized. And sports is one of the ways they did that.
Of course, yeah.
So there's yet another angle on it.
Holly Midlife says, men die of breast cancer too. Well, of course they do. But I'm saying what kind of cancer do men predominantly die from? And men are the only ones that have prostates, so I'd say prostate cancer.
Most likely. But we don't care about men.
We don't care about that. Well, I mean, I care about men.
It's not rape. I'm fortifying my sex life.
Oh.
Exactly. Now you're getting it.
No, yeah,
You're
you get
getting it. Now you get it. Won't be black pilled. Hold the line. See, we're not black pilled here either. We maintain a very small, thin line between black pill and wokeism. It's very small. It's about this big.
Yeah, we're like we're like a cat balancing on a fence. You know, just walking that fence line, and they could fall if they just misstep, but we're doing it.
Let's see. Tyler says, when I served in the SC National Guard, it took the Army until 2018 to put Donald Trump up on the wall. The wall being the photos of the chain of command up to the president. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I was gonna say it sounds about right.
Okay, here's one thing that I think we could all agree on with sports, and it's pivoting off of what Holly said here. Sports are meant to be played, not watched.
True.
Can we all agree on that?
Yes.
Playing
Much
them,
more fun to
playing
play.
them. I mean, look at China. Had already admits that football makes you more masculine. Play the sports. Don't watch the sports. Don't be the guys like, my team's better than yours.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I only used to watch football. Well, my ex-girlfriend used to work at a sports bar, so when I would go hang out at her bar, I would watch the games and stuff.
Jesus.
And not to mention, I was raised here in Sacramento, so I got to be either like a Niners fan or a Raiders fan.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not military, our family's not military. Didn't move around a lot, so I have to settle on which team is geographically closest to me.
Yes, because that's the most relevant.
It is. There's
The-
a whole
the
rule.
team
There's,
that's- the team-
there's whole rules dedicated to being a sports fan.
Yes, no, the team that's most geographically close to you, whose members make up people who don't even live in the state, definitely makes
I know,
total sense.
right?
Yeah.
They don't give a crap about your community. Yeah.
That's yeah. Well, if you guys haven't figured it out by now, I'm not a big fan of sports, and I do see it as just a method of mass hypnosis
It
and
is.
mind control. So
A little bit.
maybe it's appropriate that they're using it to channel the social justice stuff through. But I cannot wait to see how this turns out and how the market reacts.
I think, yeah. I mean,
So-
I already saw the brainwashing happening during the halftime show with the Weeknd. And I've seen him live before, and his live show was so much different than what he did at the halftime show. It was just not. It was not the biz, yo. I couldn't. I was watching these like glowing red eyes behind him perform, and I was just like, demons.
Yeah, no, I went to get some frozen yogurt during the halftime show because I knew it was going to be trash.
Yeah, it was garbage. It was total garbage.
It's theater. When you've got gates around DC, you know they're observant for once. Interesting. Okay. Oh yeah, talk about the commercials. We had Amy Schumer advertising mayonnaise, which, come on, is that supposed to be a self-degradating joke?
Yeah, you
You're
already know.
advertising for mayonnaise.
You already know she does her daily spoonful of mayonnaise every day.
Yeah, for those who don't know, she's like the worst of the worst for female comedians.
She's terrible.
That tries to force her way in and tries to say that she's funny and
She's not funny, and
pretty-
she's vulgar, very vulgar.
no, disgusting. She makes women look really, really bad.
Yeah, she kind of does. That's why I don't like her. I'm like, I know there are plenty of other female comedians out there that are way more funny, and they don't have to be as vulgar and disgusting and talk about nonsense like she does. So
Man, we went hard on that football, way harder than I thought we would.
sorry, y'all.
No, it's great. I love it. The
Back to-
chat's obviously loving it too. I mean, we got 27 million people in here, guys. If you haven't already, let's get some engagement on the video.
Yes.
It's the least you can do. Hit the like
Hit
or
the
the
like.
dislike if you don't like it. Again, we love meritocracy here. So if you don't like it, hit the dislike button. Follow us on weeklynarrative.locals.com for the private community and to support us financially if you want to. It's basically Patreon, but we can't get banned from there.
Heck yeah.
We have the final segment of the show here on the language wars because we have an important language wars update for you guys. As you know, as objective observers, as alt-centrists, we are observing the game that everybody else is playing. So we keep track of how they're playing the game, what the strategies are, what the techniques are, and there's been an update.
Okay.
Not an official update, but we've noticed a trend.
Okay.
And we're going to be going through a Twitter feed here from somebody who compiled this for us here.
Sweet.
This is
Makes it easy.
called this is a new idea called impact, not intent.
Okay.
Impact, not intent. What comes to your mind initially when you hear those phrases?
Well, I mean, impact means that there's, space that's been impacted or, violated. And intent is, what was the thought process behind it? So.
Right. So what you're seeing on the screen here is a Twitter thread that we're going to be going through. The idea behind impact, not intent, means this is. Well, I guess I'll explain what it is first, and then I'll tell you how it's going to be effective. It means that what you say, it doesn't matter what you intend, what you intended by what you said. It means that the only relevant thing is how it impacted who heard it.
Oh, okay. So if I hurt feelings, even if it was something true, that means that what I said was bad. Okay.
Yep, and this is kind of an expansion behind the principle that they try to tell us is behind the pronouns thing, right? Because
Okay.
pronouns is what? It's me.
Acknowledging that you exist.
It's I say the pronouns because you are impacted a certain way by it. I'm not intending to be a dick or whatever if I say he, but when I accidentally say he and it's not a he, they get upset because the impact to them was emotionally destructive, right? So it's kind of, we've already seen this to some degree with the pronouns. This is an evolution of that, and if you can't tell, they're kind of slow at developing these evolutions. We've seen the transgender, the pronoun stuff in schools and public sphere for several years now, almost like 10 years.
Yes.
This is the next step. This is the evolution where they can use the principle by which they force you to say pronouns to any other realm of language.
Lovely.
So when you say the wrong thing, it's equivalent now, because of impact, not intent,
Okay.
to not using their pronouns.
Okay.
The same level of emotional damage anyway.
Okay.
In
so
their eyes.
Holly says impact equals result, intent equals meaning behind it. Thank you, Holly, for saying that. You said exactly
go.
what I was thinking, but my spaghetti brain just didn't want to say.
She was quite succinct with it. So, as we see in the tweet here, they say the idea is that it doesn't matter what you are meant to say. All that matters is if someone's feelings were hurt. The idea from woke academic literature is destroying our ability to communicate. To fight it, we must understand it. So we're going to look at a screenshot here. This is a screenshot of various academic outlets, and as I'm zooming in, it's making it smaller, so I'm a little confused. Maybe my intent was to zoom in, but the impact was that it's zooming out.
Okay.
So let me restore this here. We got diversity.edu with an article that says intent versus impact in the inclusive workspace. We've got an article from Scientific American that says, but I didn't mean it, why it's so hard to prioritize impacts over intents. We've got a article from Lifehacker, focus on impact, not intent to resolve disagreements. White allies in training.
Oh my God.
Intent versus
That's not
impact.
racist.
So yeah, from the equity, diversity, and inclusion crew, just an assortment of different articles, all providing examples of how this narrative of impact, not intent, is now seeping into the real world. And in a lot of times, we're seeing Scientific American, diversity.edu. These are educational and work-related outlets. Okay,
Scientific is supposed to be science, not feelings.
Science doesn't. Well, science is whatever we want it to mean now these days.
know.
You know that. Come on now.
Yeah, that's true.
So, like all the SJW stuff that we saw, what happens, the pipeline is they learn this bullshit in school, and then they can't get a real job, so they have to get a job in HR, because it's the only job that'll, it says on your resume that you helped facilitate protests at your college.
Yeah, or a diversity specialist at workplaces too.
Stuff like that.
Because
So,
if you don't hire enough black people, you just got to hire underqualified black people.
so this is infecting the real world predominantly through HR and those other fairly worthless occupations that allows this kind of stuff to seep in. It's almost encouraged in those fields.
Oh hell yeah, it's woke.
The conceptual machinery that created impact, not intent, has two parts. Number one, the collapse of the use or mention of distinction. And number two, the death of the author thesis that says the person who says or writes something doesn't get to say how it should be interpreted. You've seen this already being used several times. So if somebody like, for example, who was the pizza guy who got fired for saying the N-word?
Papa John's.
Papa John's was on a call and he used the N-word. Now, he didn't call anybody the N-word.
Yeah.
He just said the N-word because he was repeating what somebody else said. And what happened?
He got fired.
He got fired.
Yeah.
Papa John got fired from
The face
Papa
of his
John's.
own company.
From his own company.
That's sad.
Because of how people interpreted what he said, not because of what he meant to say.
Yeah, not because he, they just didn't care about the context.
So we're already seeing this being used in real life. We're already seeing this, several prominent examples of this.
I mean, just even in my personal life, people have done this kind of crap to me. So, for example, like one time I went to do karaoke and I sang a song that had the N-word in it, and I have permission from black people, so I say it. I don't care, and it's in a song. But this one white chick that was my friend of mine who's singing it with me, she like mumbled over it, and I asked her after, I was like, "Why did you mumble over it?" She's like, "I don't have that privilege, Delaney." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to continue to say it." So.
Yep. Here's another example. Donald McNeil was fired from the New York Times for saying a racial slur.
Oh.
So here's the context.
Okay.
According to Mr. McNeil, he was asked if a girl should be punished for a video she made as a 12-year-old where she said a racial slur. Then, according to McNeil, quote, "To understand what was in the video, I asked if she had called someone else the slur or whether she was rapping or quoting a book title. in asking the question, I used the slur itself. Let's assume that this is what actually happened.
Okay.
If that's what happened, this is a case where Mr. McNeil mentioned a racial slur so that he could talk about the word itself. He didn't use the word. So this is the distinction between use and mention.
He wasn't calling people the slur. He was just using it to get better context.
Right. He didn't call anyone the slur. He mentioned it the same way Papa John did. I mean, his name's not Papa John, but I'm calling him Papa John.
We're going to call him Papa John.
Yep. And then Executive Director Dean Baquette said Mr. McNeil's intentions were not malicious and that he should not be fired. However, McNeil later resigned amid internal pressure because everybody else had different impact from what he said, right? That's the difference here, intent versus impact. And it is internal pressure which makes this example so perfect. So here's a quote from an article regarding this story. When I first heard the story, I was outraged and expected I would fire him. I authorized an investigation and concluded his remarks were offensive and that he showed extremely poor judgment, but that it did not appear to me that his intentions were hateful or malicious. Okay, no malicious intent.
There was no hatred.
However, I believe that in such cases, people should be told they were wrong and given another chance. He was formally disciplined. He was not given a pass.
Okay.
So even in that case where this guy didn't go the full distance for firing him, he still reprimanded him, disciplined him for mentioning the word, not using the word.
He didn't even, that's sad.
And again, now the NYT staff signed a letter, 150 of them, said that what matters is how an act makes the victim feel. That's what matters.
Oh, okay. Oh my God. So, wow. Even though he didn't say it to be mean, but because somebody interpreted it as him being mean or hateful or racist, whatever word you want to give it, they fired him, even though they even openly admit that he didn't say anything or there was no intent to be hateful.
That's
wow,
right.
That's sad.
Now, the second component of this,
Glad nobody got a video of me saying that N-word.
the death of the author thesis. So we're kind of deconstructing, giving the origins of where this has come from to understand it, okay? So the death of the author is an essay by Roland Barthes arguing the meaning of work is not dependent on the intentions of the author from 1967. The argument is that what the author writes is interpreted by readers, so the meaning of that text is not created in the writing of the text, but in the reading of the text. This means that whoever does the interpreting of a text decides what a text means to them.
Yeah, I mean, that is true to some degree.
The idea that texts have, you can put you can assign your own meaning to what you're reading.
Yeah.
But you can never know what the author intended by saying that.
Unless you personally ask them.
The idea that texts have no inherent meaning and people create meaning as they interpret the text for themselves is a postmodern idea which recenters the meaning of text away from the author and centering the reader by saying it is the reader that creates the meaning. When that idea is extended from text to speech, then just like the author doesn't decide what his book means, a speaker doesn't decide what the meaning of his speech is. This means what a speaker meant to say doesn't matter. What matters is how someone else interpreted what they said.
Okay, so just nobody say anything ever again.
Well, it would kind of seem like that's what they want you to do.
Nobody say anything ever again unless it's puppies, unicorns, rainbows, kittens, and happiness. Even if you're talking about history and context and you have to use like a slur that they used back then, you're gonna get fired. You're gonna get your life ruined.
Yeah, no, we're in a tough predicament because, as Osis points out, words are violence, but silence is also violence.
Oh,
so
I've heard. I've had friends unfollow me on social media because I remained silent during
my
the
fists
George
are
Floyd.
violence.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
Your fists are extra violent, Bill.
I'm sure you've lost a lot of friends because you run in those circles.
Well, I mean, those
Weirdos.
a lot of these people I
Degenerates.
a lot of these people I went to like school with. So when I didn't show any support for Black Lives Matter or George Floyd or anything over the summer, a lot of people like unfollowed me and all this garbage, but then would hit me up later for, acid and other things like that. So it's a weird thing.
MA says, I saw a guy get kicked off of stand-up comedy in my leftist town for quoting somebody else using a slur that starts with F for gay people.
The gay slur that rhymes with Bob Saget's last name.
He was not using it in a mean way, just quoting. Exactly. He was mentioning it, not using it.
But if it was a gay comedian that said it in a leftist town, he would be praised.
So
Yes.
So as you're
Take it back, yes.
As you continue through the rest of your life, keep in mind in the back of your head those two distinctions, okay? The difference between using and mentioning a word. Papa John, rip recipes.
R.I.P.
Uh,
Good pizza.
who mentioned a word. If you sing along with rap lyrics, you're mentioning the word.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, you're not using it.
It's just one N word at the very end of the song, and I just said it once.
So keep in mind that distinction, but then also keep in mind that what you say, no matter what you intend to mean, if you mean nothing but benevolence, it can be taken the wrong way, and it's up to the reader, the listener, to decide whether or not what you say is acceptable or not.
Yeah.
Now, combine that with everything else that you're seeing today, where they want to target everything from Twitter, Facebook, to even the more private encrypted chats like Telegram and Signal. They're going after those now because of what you're saying on those, just disinformation. What is the 9/11 playbook reopened for against white people and Trump? Disinformation.
Yeah.
Because, what you say, when Trump says we need to fight for election transparency, they can interpret that as you need to burn down the Capitol building. They're going to interpret, the moral of the story is they're going to interpret everything you say in the worst possible manner because it puts them in a position of power
Absolutely.
over you. So keep that in mind. Is that a society that you want to live in?
Absolutely not. I don't.
Does anybody in chat want to live in that society?
No.
I don't want to live in that society. That sounds like shit.
I'm not going around saying the N-word to people just willy-nilly. I very rarely sing it in songs.
The worst part is that all those people are retarded anyway. They're low IQ. They're social justice, gender studies, underwater gender studies majors.
Well,
they're not intelligent. They can't produce anything. They're not.
Yeah, what baffles me is like the people that get mad at other people for using the N-word don't bat an eyelash when black people call each other the N-word still. They're like, oh, that's fine. That's their culture. They can do that.
Funny you mentioned that because there was that Ida Bayer Wells chick, who we were talking about her on the last stream Saturday. She's founded the 1619 Project.
Yeah, that bitch.
She used the N-word on full N-word on Twitter.
Oh no.
And people started coming after her, and guess what her response was?
It's my culture.
Honey, you don't understand it. Who's allowed to use the word and who's not allowed to use the word. And I feel sorry for you.
Oh, okay. Well.
Yeah. So.
Just saying, if you want black excellence, like you're saying, using that word is not helping.
Well, that's the thing. Well, the funny part, the hilarious part is she got caught in her own trap. She was only mentioning it.
Oh.
She wasn't using it. So
she got caught in this trap that they set for her.
Exactly. No,
they like I've been saying for the past
rules for radicals. People hold them accountable to their own rules.
They're the ones they're the retard hunters that are out there setting traps and then get trapped in their own traps. When they're
pretty much.
Yeah, and then they complain that they're so stupid that they got trapped in their own bear trap. So good job.
I've never used a slur in any mean way, but talking about race and IQ makes me just as guilty. Pretty sure. Yeah. No, that's one of those topics. Again, if you talk about it in a scientific context, they will interpret it as
racism.
You're racist.
Yeah.
So.
Same thing with I'm technically a transphobe because I would never want to date a transgender, and I'm critical of them. That makes me a transphobe. So. That's fine with me. I'll gladly wear that title right across my chest.
If somebody says F you, I can take it as attempted rape. And what? Press charges? Social media raise them? Well, yeah. I mean,
maybe.
By these
rules.
rules.
Say they assaulted you with their words.
By these rules, you can do that. I don't know how well. You can try to get away with it. Let me know how that goes. Being a free thinker can be hard, but it's really awesome. I'm glad Jeremy and Delaney got connected.
I mean, I'm glad I connected to him too. I mean, especially living here in Sacramento, where I feel like I'm on an island by myself. Like I have a few people that are, pretty free thinking, but it's different to actually sit here and broadcast it with him and have him next to me.
Silence is a mask on trying to order a burrito. Not violence, just hungry.
Can definitely turn into violence if you leave me hangry.
What did Will say? He said, a bundle of sticks has nothing to do with being happy. Am I missing something?
Yes.
Turf. Yeah, you are a turf.
Yep, total turf. I'm fine with that. I don't even consider myself a feminist, so that's perfect.
Delaney, you also a straight phobe because you won't date a man. That's true.
I'm a total straight phobe too.
That's true.
Fine with me. I think Arian is just jealous that I won't date him.
Sounds like it, yeah.
Aaron,
okay.
your standards
That's
are too.
why I got her on the stream.
Yeah, Aaron, your standards are too high. Like, I don't meet your standards, hun. Like, you want me to, like, I'll cook for you, but, you know, I don't know. Like, you say you want somebody that can cook as good as your mom, and I don't know if anybody's going to make that standard.
All right, guys. I think that that's your news from the front on
Yeah.
the language war. Okay, so just so you know,
Them
now,
front lines.
now we have a good explanation for these tactics that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that is, I mean, this is just yet another straw on the pile, or a stick in the bundle, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
of the reasons why you should not be investing yourself into this society anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not even necessarily, I'm going a little bit further than I usually do. I'm not even saying don't try to leave the society.
Mm-hmm.
I'm simply saying don't invest anymore in this society. Investing in this society,
Is a waste of
trying
money.
to save this
Yeah,
society,
it's a waste of energy.
if you still think you can save this society, a society that is literally breaking down the use of language, the one thing that makes us human, the ability to communicate with words,
Mm-hmm.
over, pangolins who are just walking around spreading COVID to each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes us different is language, and these people are destroying that.
They are.
So just if you don't understand that, Google or DuckDuckGo,
Mm-hmm.
duck the term.
Duck the term.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring back. I'm trying to bring.
We're trying to like get away from.
duck.
Yeah, we got to do.
Just duck it.
Just duck it.
Duck the term. Sunk costs. Do a little bit of research on that definition of sunk costs,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe you'll understand. Because but too many people these days, they fall victim to sunk cost fallacy, and it's especially in terms of society in general in America and culture. It's sad because you could be spending your life and your energy on productive things that make you happy, more productive, your family more happy.
No, we're not going to do that anymore, Jeremy. In order to save society, we have to invest. We have to be
See,
hooked
Holly.
in. Sorry. Touch your hand. Touch your hand.
We have to be tucked in. Is that what you said?
I said I'm going to touch your hand.
No, I said, but you were saying we have to be tucked in.
Yeah, totally tuck it in.
No.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I don't even know what I was saying, not going to lie.
Yes. Well, depending on how you identify, you might need to tuck it in.
Yeah, I definitely might need to tuck it.
Yeah, guys, change your browser to Brave. Change your default search engine to DuckDuckGo. Come on now. That's just basic stuff.
No,
Decentralize.
I mean, yeah, I guess I got to jump on board with that too because I'm still rocking Google.
Decentralize. That is the underlying theme of everything we talk about here on the show. If you guys like that idea, if you liked what you heard today, if you thought this was entertaining or informative, hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure most of you guys are subscribed, but you know what? Make sure you got that bell still checked. And join our private community at weeklynarrative.com. Weeklynarrative.com has a private forum for us to share videos, podcasts, and chat in a Twitter/Facebook manner
Yes.
where we're not going to get censored. We are safe there.
Don't have
And
to worry about getting shut down.
if you feel generous, if you want to promote capitalism and help promote these ideas, feel free to drop us a couple bucks on the local site there.
We'll take
because
it.
you can subscribe to our private content, which gives you access to the Inner Circle.
Yes.
The first Inner Circle live stream just went up. Guys, we did an extra 2 hours on Saturday after the
Yes.
actual live stream for the Inner Circle.
Inner Circle.
So that is now available to subscribers on weeklynarrative.com.
And if you're too cheap for that, then just come and join us on Saturday.
Just watch the stream. Totally cool with
Watch
that
the
too.
stream on Saturday, or also we're on what is it now? iTunes, Apple, Stitcher,
Google,
Google.
and Spotify.
If you just want to do the listen only version.
That's right.
I'm not as good at promo as Jeremy is, so
It's okay.
But I had to give it a shot.
Gotta let you practice.
Yeah.
You get there.
gotta get my feet wet.
Otherwise, catch us live here every Tuesday and Saturday. You guys know the deal.
Yep.
7 p.m. PST right here. Weekly Narrative. YouTube.com/Weekly Narrative. That's right, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. I definitely had fun tonight. Did you have fun?
Oh, I always had fun.
We always have fun here.
It's a good time.
And we'll see you guys back here on Saturday.
Yes.
All right.
Saturday, Domingo for you
If you're not
Spanish
here,
speakers.
I'm going to come looking for you. So you better be
He
here.
could probably find you if he put his mind to it.
Probably could.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Good night, folks.
It's nothing without you guys.
Absolutely. You guys make the show.
Chat was on fire tonight. Really appreciate it.
I mean, they're way more entertaining than I am, so.
True.
True.
All right. See you guys.
Night night.
Just a little Windows error message.